do this every day, and I'm still so amazed by you. So hold me tight through the night. It's just us two, me and you. I can't believe you love me. I just feel so lucky. Still can't believe you love me. I hope it never ends. Let's being more than friends. Yeah. You know I'm here to stay every single day. Yeah. So hold me tight through the night. It's just us two, me and you. I can't believe you love me. I just feel so lucky. Still can't believe you love me.
Hello and welcome. I think you can hear me now. Welcome to the show. And as usual, more dangle clacks. I've been trying to get somebody on the show. Kenny the Vaping Heed. We met up after the last episode of the show. Did a nice little Zoom meeting, got to know each other a little bit, and have everything set up for him to be here today. However, there must be something going on his end. He hasn't been able to come into the Zoom meeting. I still have everything set up, so if he happens to show up along the way and gets his stuff fixed up, well, we'll have him on the show. But you know what? That's the one thing about being live. You got to kind of have to roll with the way the punches go. And, well, we're going to continue on, even though he's not here. And maybe that'll change along the way. How are all you fantastic people out there doing? Let's take a look at the chat and find out what you guys are talking about. There we go. See, I did have it set up. Ah, you're running late. No worries, mate. Hop into the Zoom meeting whenever you're ready. I'll turn off the single cam, move to the dual cam, and we'll be all good to go. Hot diggity dog. I'd like to say hello to everybody out there. Hello, Lance Ward. Hello, Homer Simpson. Hello, Dusty Country Road. Hello, Ian Thomas, Deb22, Neil Pitts, Sean Lynch, Mallory Gates, Mrs. Hunky Vape. Hello and welcome to all of you, and thank you for coming out for today's show. Yep, same link as last time. Same link that says in the email. Awesome. All right. While he is going and getting onto Zoom, how about, there you go. Fantastic. Give us a moment. So anyway, hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend out there. This news that I put together last week, it was so easy to put together because everything that I talked about on it, I was so passionate about, because it's literally life or death situation for smokers out there. And most of them don't even know it. Well, it's kind of hard not to know it in today's day and age. Prohibitions have been bantered on about since I was a young kid growing up. The problem was there's so much misinformation out there. Hey, let's get your audio on. Hello, Kenny. Can you hear me?
Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Oh.
All right, let me jump over and make sure that the audio settings are correct. Oh, I'm not muted. Everything seems to be working. How are you, Kenny?
I think I've got a little bit of a delay at my end for some reason.
Oh, yes. There's about a 10-second delay in the YouTube video compared to the Zoom meeting. So you're going to have to listen to the Zoom meeting and not the actual. But anyway, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Very good. Busy as always, running around like a madman, but
fantastic. There, I got our pictures straightened out. Got our logos on.
I'll tell you what I'll do. That's it. Hang on a minute, this keeps dropping for some reason. Why am I dropping? Launch meeting, okay. Here we go. I do apologise, it's just still fanning on at this end.
Ah, no worries.
Right, I think I'm there. Am I there?
Yeah, I see you.
There you go. That's it. Now I was getting a lot of feedback off the. I forgot you've got to mute the YouTube as you get loads of echo.
Oh yeah, you get multiple sources and one's delayed from the other
it's
one.
Like,
and
I'm like that. What's going on?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's even more crazy trying to set it up in OBS so that you have multiple audio sources and one's getting routed here, the other one's getting routed there, and adding music into the mix and then having to lower the volume when we talk. It's just it's lots of fun, but you know what? It's all a process, and once you get the process figured out, it's just like second-hand nature. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to do it, get everything working, it's all good.
We're there now. It is all good now. We're back up and running.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Right, so how have you been this week? I checked on your latest video of the day. You've been a very busy guy again, I see.
Oh, yeah. Like I was just saying, I'm like, I really enjoyed putting this one together because it was all things I feel very passionate about. I mean, the logic is so simple to understand if people just step back. I don't know.
It is. It's not rocket science, is it, when you think about it?
No, and the more they ban everything, the more you're going to get a black market that's going to grow, and the less control you actually have on what's going on out there.
Well, like I said, they had that, there's history repeating itself, but with the old alcohol thing, when they've done it with the prohibition and all that, it's going to be the same with vaping, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and if you look at the bigger picture, it's not just, starting back in the 30s, you had the prohibition of alcohol and how big of a massive failure that was. And it had to be taken back because obviously this didn't work. So since everybody wants to do this, how about we figure out a way that we can make some money off of it, and then we'll just kind of deal with it.
Exactly.
Well, I hate to tell you, but it's the same situation when it comes to these vaping products and with, consumption of nicotine. I mean, growing up, it was beat into my head, all drugs are horrible for you. But at the same time, I had a chemistry teacher and his motto was, better living through chemistry. I mean, we sit there and drink our coffee every day and don't think twice about it.
No.
But when it comes to nicotine, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
it's old school prohibition.
It's definitely that. It's sad the way it is, like, but we are just the pawns on a very big chessboard, aren't we, really, when you think about it?
Yeah. That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
But the longer this goes on, the more you can draw parallels between, starting with alcohol prohibition, and then you go and you move on to the drugs. The big war on drugs started by Nixon back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And how is that done? My entire life, before I was born, this was started. Have they made any progress on that? Oh, they take out this guy. Well, 2 people take his place. So how far did you really get?
This is it. There's always somebody that will be next in line to carry on, whatever they're doing, you know what I mean? There's just an army of them, all waiting in rank, you know what I mean? Ready to take over whoever, somebody gets took down, there's somebody else to replace them. It just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of them, just a thing where, is there a solution to it? You know what I mean? You don't know, because like I say, if it's just, you take one down, there's somebody else. Well, I suppose it's demand, it's supply and demand, so, when's that ever going to cease?
Yeah. Well, along those same lines, and because of the news and, always having to cover some aspect of news and advocacy, I figured the first thing that we jump over to, besides introductions, which I ought to start with first. That seems to be the most appropriate, I think. For those of you that don't know, this is Kenny Thompson, the Vaping Heed. He's got a YouTube channel. He's been on here a lot longer than I have and started the same way I did. You go out and you buy a product, you bring it home, and instead of just tearing into it and having a great massive time with it, well, you figure you're going to put it underneath a camera and view film the whole experience of it so that you can take that knowledge and that experience that you have and potentially stop somebody from buying something that's ridiculously horrible, or encourage people to buy something that you find really enjoyable.
That's what it's all about. Definitely. I think there's that fine line, isn't there, where you're a reviewer or a hobbyist. So you kind of get, you've got to be which side of that line you're on. I'll probably say I'm more hobbyist than a out and out reviewer. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm like you. I'm self-funded. I buy my own stuff, and I give you my experience of it, just like the consumer. So that's the way I look at it, mate. Like, definitely, it's just how it is, and you know, it. Like you say, you get that stuff. I mean, you might not like it, but somebody else might. You know, it's all subjective, isn't it? Everything's subjective. Whether you like a juice, whether you like a device, whatever. But you just put your experience out, what you think of it, and you know, recommend, not recommend, or people, you know, get people to have a go at it. You know, so you know, it's a big subjective minefield when you think about it, isn't it?
It is, and then it gets even more complicated by the fact that there are people out there like, you know, Phil Basardo is a perfect example of this. All he ever wants to see people have is mouth to lung, because that's what satisfies him. That's what got him off of cigarettes, and that's what he loves to do. He can't stand. He'll do a review on a big mouth to lung cloud chucker, but that's not his thing. Everybody has their own requirements on what they enjoy. What do they like? Do they like big flashy lights? Do they like, you know, stab wood mods, or are you just, you know, strictly a practical person where as long as I can spend the money on it, I buy something that's going to work and it's going to continue working no matter what? That's all they require for, you know, happiness.
Definitely. Like I say, everybody's got their own needs and their own, you know, tastes, etc. And I mean, like you say, I mean, the technology with all the vape devices has come on leaps and leaps and bounds since when, you know, the likes of us started giving up smoking. I mean, I think it was like a Kangatech pen. I think, you know, there was just no wattage adjustment. It's just what you got was, you know, it was just, you just hit it, and if it was horrible, it was horrible. It was nice, it was nice. You know, you didn't have no control over it.
Yeah, that's like this one. This is what I first bought. This is my first kit.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't enough vapor for me to enjoy it. Not enough flavor, not enough cloud.
I think the first hurdle is obviously quitting, and then obviously if you want to continue as a hobbyist, then you move on to other things, you know what I mean? I think that's where maybe a lot of reviewers on YouTube are really the more hobbyists with the bigger stuff. Because like you see, when you think about somebody who's quitting smoking, at least here in the UK, probably aren't going to go on YouTube and go, I'll have a look at vape, and they'll probably, like you say, go in a shop, corner shop, petrol station, whatever, and just buy something on the spur of the moment, you know what I mean? And then, you know, that journey begins, or that journey doesn't begin. You know, it's the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm appreciative of the fact that the FDA at least approved, you know, a real vaping product like this Enjoy Ace. But this, I'm not sure if that would have been enough for me to actually do it. It would have been enough to pique my interest in vaping, to go into a vape shop and see what else was available out there. Yeah. But by itself, I'm not convinced that, you know, this is the best move for public health. They need to, you know, realize that these open tank systems are what some people need to have.
I think if you limit the availability, that is going to make it hard for people, because, I mean, like I say, when I first quit, I didn't just pick up a vape device and then that was it, I quit. I hated it. First time I did, I hated it. I think I coughed more with the vaping device than what I did smoking a cigarette. Mm-hmm. And it took quite a few attempts for me to actually embrace vaping. At first I thought, oh no, God, I'm coughing worse on that. No, I'm not having that. And then, you know, there wasn't much flavour, you know, for the things at the time, because like you say, they were all just, you've got what you got type of thing, until you moved on. And I think my first actual mouth, like open direct lung kit would have been something like a smock. I think it was a smock priv or something. You know, it was like an old smock, and even then I was like, whoa. So, you know, it's just it's your journey. But I think if they just limit these products to such and such, you know, you can have that or nothing, I don't really think it's going to benefit a lot as such, you know what I mean? Because you're either going to love it or hate it, you know what I mean? So it's a shame.
Then you have to factor in flavors. I mean, some people, when you first quit, you're thinking naturally to yourself, oh, well, I'm smoking, so I want something that's going to replace my... Because when you're smoking, whatever brand you have, that's all you want. You don't want to switch up this brand or switch to generics and then go to Camels and then go to Marlboros. People are stuck in their brand. So when they think of, oh, if this is a transition from cigarettes to, electronic cigarettes, well, I want a flavor that's exactly like what I got now because that's what I want. I want something identical to what I have.
Definitely, totally agree with that. Like I said, I mean, you're down to two flavours, aren't you? Really, the menthol and the tobacco, and it's not much in the choice department, is it? You know what I mean? One or the other, and I was never a fan of either flavour, to be honest with you. When I still ain't, to be honest with you. So, and I've been vaping for a while, but then again, I've tried flavours, I've experienced flavours, so that's probably the main reason why them flavours don't appeal to me. Even e-liquid with menthol or cool order in, I'm not a big fan of them. But everybody their own. It's like I say, it's your voyage of discovery. You find your niche, whether you like, desserts or you like, whatever, fruits or whatever. You go down that road to see which flavour you like and what suits you. So it's a voyage of discovery as well, man, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what though? I know you guys have a big problem right now. It's starting to be a growing problem with these disposables constantly, everywhere.
Massive.
50 milligram disposables, everywhere
Massive.
you look.
I don't think it's so much the amount of nicotine in them. I think it's the size of them. In the UK, we're only, I think they're maximum 6,800 puffs or something with your 2 ml of juice. But when they get the bigger amount of puffs, they get 2,000, 3,500. Yeah. It's the juice quantity. There's more juice in it, so that's what makes them illegal. And
that's why I was showing this one. This is a 3,000 puff, and the other ones that I got were 5,000 puffs. Exact same size.
See, because this is the problem. I mean, there's obviously, there's underage vapers getting their hands on their teen vapers, whatever you want to call them. Our government has still got to decide what they're going to do with the old TPD, with us leaving the EU. So with this kind of scenario going on, it could cause problems for us because, we were hoping they're going to get rid of 2 ml and all this stuff, but, with these disposables sort of cause them a bit of a problem. It could, scupper the new rules and regs, whatever they come up with, you know what I mean? So it needs nipping in the bud, to be honest with you. But
but can you really nip it in the bud? Think about it though. When you were growing up, if you were underage and you wanted a cigarette, could you get a cigarette?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's part of growing up as your teenage years, whether it be a cigarette, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs even, you try, you experiment, and for me, unfortunately, it was cigarettes. That was my evil, so, But, yeah, it's a minefield with anything, It's like you say, if somebody wants something, they'll probably more than likely get it, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And realistically, though, I mean, if you were to literally get my ultimate goal would be to see all cigarettes. You can do whatever you want with cigarettes. You want to keep selling them, keep selling them. But I know that the technology has gotten so good with these that if you get a smoker that tries this, like this one, because it makes such little vapor and it's a 50 milligram concentration, if you taste the flavor of this and it's like your favorite flavor, like let's say, you love grapes or you love ice cream or whatever, and you tried one of these and it was a flavor you loved, and you can buy this for $20 and it lasts you a whole week, why would you spend another $10 on a pack of cigarettes that only lasts you a day or part of a day?
Definitely. I mean, I do think they have that place in, they're there for a reason. They do have a place, but obviously, they're being abused badly, so that's why they're getting a bad name. I mean, like you say, it's you find these disposable just about every shop, supermarket, wherever you go, so that's going to be your first port of call. That's the first thing you're probably going to see. Probably the first thing you actually want to try. You might say, I'll buy one of them, see what it's like, and you'll try it, and then, so I think there is, there is a place for them in the vaping world, definitely, even for you, like your established vapors, the pocket size, they're friendly, you slip them in your pocket and take them out, they're easy to carry about, so they've got a place, definitely, but it's like everything else, when they're getting in the wrong hands, they get a bad name, unfortunately, and that's where we are at the moment in the UK, plus obviously, like I say, I think few weeks ago there was a load of illegal ones being smuggled in at the court. So you've got the black market still here, regardless, you know, whether they're legal or not. You've still got the black market here, especially with the likes of them. So they're kind of getting themselves a bit of a bad name. But I do think they do have a place, without a doubt. I mean, I do see a lot of adults using them, quite a few, you know, and they're sitting driving the car, they'll have a vape, or they're in the pub, they'll have a vape, you know, or they're out shopping, they'll just pull one out of their pocket when they get out in the car park, you know. I still think they've got a purpose if they're used right. But the main thing is, obviously, the title disposable is people disposing them badly, i.e. throwing them in the street and everything else. You know, we haven't got anything as such for you to go and dispose of that disposable. You know, like say batteries, you might have a battery disposable where you get rid of all your batteries. You know, it's like a collection point. I think we need
simple
something
solution.
like that for the. Yeah,
there's a simple solution to this. When I was growing up as a kid, it wasn't in all the states, but there were lots of states that when you go buy soda or cola, there was a tax that was applied to that for you to bring that bottle back to where you sold it from.
Definitely.
Aluminum can, same way. You can encourage people the same way. Charge an extra $1 for a 6-pack of cola, and you get that $1 back if you bring the empty cans back.
I think that was like when we were a kid. I think with obviously soda bottles, we called them pop bottles, and you got money. If you took a bottle back, you got money. You know, you got like something back for taking it back. There was a reward. So maybe it's that kind of like reward scheme of work. But I think even in people, or places that do sell them, they should have a bin. Like a recycled bin for you to bring them back, because it's. You walk the streets around here, and like late at night, and all you can see is these little flashing blue lights randomly in the curbs, where people have threw these disposables away, which, it is a sad thing. So I think there's still a bit of work to be done with them if you want to keep them here, So it's all about money and stuff like that, as everything else. You know what I mean? So
the politicians are too worried about trying to ban them because they think, if we make it illegal, it's just going to go away. No, that's ridiculous.
Doesn't work like that.
Focus on the solutions that actually have real consequences that are going to benefit society, and it's a simple solution.
I mean, it's just something a bit of management as well. You know what I mean? Like I say, if you made, like you say, disposable bins or something available for people to put them in the bins, just like you've got litter bins or trash bins in the public areas. It's just the same thing. It's just simple stuff. That's the annoying thing about it. Not as if it's rocket science, it's just simple stuff. There's a bin, put your disposable in it, job done. Easy, innit? Because when you think of it, they made most of the stuff they're made of is recyclable. The plastic and the battery, that's recyclable materials, and yet,
all of it's recyclable in here, with the exception of maybe the sponge that's in here. Yeah, but I mean, even that could be washed and recycled into the plastic that it came from.
Exactly. It's simple stuff, but like you say, down to the people that run the show, would rather ban it rather than fix it. So what can you do?
Speaking of banning it, let's take a look at something I happened to come across on Twitter today.
Yep.
The smoking ban pilot. Now, this was something that happened in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Let me click over here so that we can... Well, it's not happy. Out of the scope. Oh, at least it didn't crash OBS. Well, anyway, there's this ban, a smoking pilot ban in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia was in the process of working for this harm reduction practice for drug users. They come in for treatment, they have safe places to use and whatnot. And part of the requirement was that if you came in there, you couldn't smoke. You couldn't even go outside to smoke because it's a hospital facility and must be smoke-free. So you're literally pushing people away from coming in for treatment, for addiction treatment, because of the non-smoking requirements that they have there.
Right, yeah.
So that's what this whole thread was about that they posted on there. And they basically said, listen, we tried to stop this from happening. We tried to scream at you, get you to listen. No, this is the worst time for you to be doing something like that. And it goes on and on and on and about the fact that this is something that needs to change. And this needs to change all across the world, not just in this country, but people need to recognize that, just because you're treating one drug, there's no reason for you to sit there and smash all drugs, because prohibition isn't the solution. You need to come up with a solution that entices people to choose the better option for them, the more pleasurable option. The old adage is, you attract more bees with honey than you do vinegar.
Definitely, without a doubt. Again, it's it's one way you just scratch your head at, because when you're sitting where we are sitting, you can see the solutions, you can see that they're not hard, and yet the politicians etc. are just, I don't know if they're blind to it or they're just deliberately ignoring it, or you're just banging your head, like, what the hell, you know what I mean?
Sometimes you wonder if the politicians
what
only
we got
care
to
about
do?
whatever's the most popular thing, and everything else can be damned.
Definitely, I think it is, without a doubt. It's getting to be just a pain in the backside, like I say, with all the legislation here and legislation. I mean, the EU, there are some European companies who are also starting to kind of look down on vaping as well, as you probably well know, because obviously you do the news and that. So, I think it's been one of them things that grew so fast and so quick by popularity. It's kind of hit all these governments in the face, and they're thinking, what do we do? And then they're just panic decisions after, you know what I mean? They're like, what the hell's happening here? And then all of a sudden, right, we're going to have to ban it. Oh, we're going to have to do it. I think they just haven't realised how much of a success vaping is to give up the cigs, without a doubt.
The
And
popularity of it proves its success. It's that simple.
Of course it is. Of course it
82
is.
million vapors around the world every single day use these products because they don't want to smoke anymore.
I was a hardened, die-hard smoker. I'm in my 50s now. I was no, I'm not. I'm never going to give up. And I tried the patches, the tablets, you name it. I tried it, and it failed miserably. You know what I mean? Until I found vaping. Like I said, it wasn't a breeze. I didn't just pick it up and go, oh, this is good. It was a steady progress. It took us a while to get used to them and, find where I wanted to go with them. But the only thing that worked for me, now I'm smoking 40 to 60 cigarettes a day. So if I can do it, anybody can, really. And I'm not just saying that to be, silly, just straight up.
But that's the truth. That's the way I look at it. If I can quit smoking, I was 3 packs a day when I quit. Not every single day of the week. When as the week went on, Friday was my most stressful day between doing paperwork and financial stuff, and then doing DJ stuff all night in the bar drinking. 3 packs a day, easy for me on a Friday.
Once you get alcohol and social time involved with that, too, you just smoke for fun, don't you? It's simple as that. It's as easy as that. I do apologise if there's any bit of background noise, because we've still got people roaming about here. I'm sitting stuck in my front room type of thing, so.
Listen, we're already at 30 minutes, so how about we move on to the next thing that I got poked out here?
Come on, then let's go.
I could sit here and talk about this all day long, every single day, because I've done the research in 2 years. In 2 years, I've done the research, and I can't believe how much misinformation is out there and how much of the truth isn't out there. You and I, when we first had our first Zoom meeting, we had a conversation about how you don't vape indoors. And part of the thing that I did on the news this week was addressed to people like you that go, oh, well, I can't vape indoors because, I might, it's like smoking, you're worried about affecting the health of everybody else in the house.
Definitely. Obviously, I've done vaping before, and obviously it's the cleaning, because what goes up must come down, and when this stuff comes down, it's very greasy.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. You leave vegetable glycerin on the surfaces, especially if you're in your car and you have the windows up. My wife's car, I got to clean the windows on. She doesn't even realize it because she's in it day in and day out and doesn't realize little by little it does build up in there. But it's easy to clean up. It's just vegetable glycerin.
Oh God, yeah, it is. But like I say, when you're in your home and you've got your computers and all that, and it gets into your computers, it's not good cleaning them out. But I don't mind stepping out the doorway when, especially in the summer months, sit outside anyway, so I don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I do want to show you this little segment here, and this is what it boils down to is just like we looked on there, they were talking about drug treatment facilities and non-smoking rules getting in the way of people getting their addiction treatment and stuff. And a lot of this stuff all boils down to snobbery. When we were growing up, you know, the snobs looked at you and said, "Oh, you're a smoker. Ah, disgusting." And it's even worse when you got a reformed smoker that quit smoking cold turkey and was like,
"Oh, yes.
Ew. Oh, why you gotta light that up?
Stop. Oh, God, no."
Yeah. Well, here's a little segment that was just put on Regwatch that I just happened to get. It drives the point home, I think. So if we give us a moment, we'll take a look and see what they have to say about this.
It just seems simple. I often consider all of this communication.
Hold on a second. You guys can't hear anything.
Yeah, we're losing that a bit. They got started, but we lost it a bit.
There was one problem about rebuilding OBS is they literally had me redo every single little aspect of it.
All right.
How are we now?
It has its problems. It gives you, like, you go window capture, you get the video feed, then you get no audio. It's like, what? I still can't hear anything or see anything. Well, I can see it, but I still can't hear nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately, from the looks of it, for some reason, it's not routing properly. Google's on the auxiliary input. And it's still not working. Anyway, there's a link in the bottom of the description for people to check it out later, but he goes into it very well and very pointedly talking about how we grew up in an era where you have drug prohibition, just say no, and all this other malarkey, and talking about how bad everything is for all of us and the simple solution is just pure abstinence. You know, even when we were growing up, I mean, sex was the same way. It wasn't have safe sex until the AIDS epidemic came in and took over. Up until then, it was only abstinence. And then, especially if you went to a Catholic school, forget it. That was all they ever preached.
No. It's a sin. You shall not do that.
Well, guess what? It doesn't work. Abstinence only will never work. It's just as bad as prohibition in my book.
Definitely. I think at the end of the day, if you tell somebody they can't do something, they'll try to find a way to do that. It's simple. I think that's just the way we got programmed. I think that's just the way we're wired. You know, if we say you're not allowed to do that, you'll go, well, no, I'm going to try and do that. And as they say, rules are made to be broken, so I think that's where we are, really.
Totally.
In our day, we never had social media and all that stuff, so I do think it's a little bit hard in this day and age. Like, but we never, we just believed whatever anybody told us at the time, didn't we? We didn't have social media. We couldn't go checking something up on Google or nothing like that. You just got information of whoever was telling you, and you kind of believed it, or you didn't, as the case may be with some.
Mm-hmm.
But that, so I don't know how times have changed.
All right, well, enough of the advocacy. How about we jump into some kind of mixing?
Come on, then let's show you.
Figure out something that we can do, something that's going to be a little bit more enjoyable than worrying about all this.
You have influences. I've been on to, I think I mentioned these before in the chat when I've been on to a company in the UK called Dark Star, who do the bottle shots, and I'm not quite a seasoned mixer, but I have been mixing a few things up here by Dark Star. So I've got these steeping right now. Unfortunately, they're 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm like, oh no.
Oh, you got custards, of course. Custards, you need to let them sit there and ripen, let them fully develop their profile.
Yeah, that's a vanilla custard one. That is a lemon meringue donut. And this one is, well, this is an English phrase, right? You can either have scones or scones. Just take your pick.
Oh, yeah.
So, but they're going, so I can't wait for them.
Very much so.
That's why I just don't get into mixing so much, because it's the waiting game that I'm sitting there, I want to go on.
Hey, if you pick a fruit flavor, it's very easy to just shake and vape it. That's the advantage of it.
That's the way to go, I think. Shake and vape and you just do it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So the first thing we're going to do is exactly that. Something that I had talked about before, but we never actually implemented it, but to show you how simple it really is. You buy yourself a flavor base, which is literally just 70% VG and 30% PG, and the bottle is not completely full. It's a short fill, essentially. Yeah. Get yourself a one shot. Today, I'm going to try the strawberry jam toast. Just throw a little. Very good. It's legit a strawberry jam toast. So,
very nice, very nice.
One shots make it so easy that anybody can get into mixing. As long as you have a bottle opener. I keep this one on a chain hanging on my door. When the other one disappears.
You've just got everything, haven't you? You've just got everything.
Well, you end up buying, getting into this and getting into that, and it's just...
Oh, you certainly have. When I first seen your shelf of your e-liquids and your juices and all that, I was thinking, that guy's got his own vape shop sitting in there.
You know what? Because of the vape apocalypse scare that we were going through right after we found out, how successful it was for us to quit smoking, how we could go out with our friends on a Friday night, go to the pub, go to the club, and we could be around our friends that were smoking, and it didn't matter. We pick up our vape and we would vape while they're smoking.
Definitely.
That's when I knew it was a success. But it's this simple. You literally take your bottle, you take your flavor, this is a one shot, and you pour it in here until you get to the bottom of the ring. And now you've got yourself
a nice bottle of e-liquid.
One bottle of commercial e-liquid. Just like that.
Easy peasy.
Give it a shake. Maybe throw a label on here, right on here, what it is. And there you go. Just like that. One shot. One bottle of liquid. When you buy this as a kit, you get two of them. So this literally makes 2 bottles of liquid.
Yeah.
And this is cheap, regardless of whether you buy it from Flavrz or you buy from a different flavor shop that does the same type of thing. Yeah. In the UK, you got chefs you can buy flavors and stuff from, and concentrates and recipes that people have mixed up.
Lots of places in the UK.
Lots of places. And then you realize, how cheap it is to make your own e-liquid. You're going in the store, spending, well, you guys can't buy bottles this big over there.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you go into a corner shop that only sells stuff just to sell stuff and doesn't care about regulations.
What's 100 or 120s? I mean, we've got 100 mLs. Yeah, I think we've got them over 100 mLs.
Yeah. These are 120s.
We've got them. We've got them there. There's the. That's what I'm on now. There's a 120. That's the loaded lemon bar, which I'm quite enjoying at the moment. It's very nice, but we've kind of got that side. I think, like I say, the one shots are an absolutely brilliant way of introducing you to mixing. But like I say, when the thing that loses me is obviously when you see some of these recipes, and some of them do look really complicated and complex with all the different flavors, and you're thinking, it's like being in a lab, it's like a chemistry lab, this,
well, that's the whole thing is, when you do this is literally the exact same recipe as any other recipe. The only difference is you are only mixing one ingredient.
That's right, yeah. I think that's when it gets complicated, when you see different flavors and you think, oh God, if I get that one wrong, will it affect that one? Or, you know what I mean? Hats off to the guys who've come up with them. Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, here's the perfect example. Icy Pole One Shot flavor. You nick it up or you don't nick it up. This is without anything in it. It's just PG and VG, which is what your flavor base is. So if you don't want to buy the flavor base, well, you can mix your own flavor base just by buying the propylene glycol.
Yeah.
Buying the vegetable glycerin. And it's intimidating when you think about how you're actually, doing chemistry and you have to have a scale but it's really not that complicated. But it tells you right here, if you can go and customize this to any size bottle you want it to be. And like I customized this one to be a 50-50 solution because I was mixing this for that little pod that I was doing a review on. And it specifically said for salt nick, you need to have a thin liquid, 50-50.
Yeah.
So I mixed up a bottle of 50-50 liquid to use for that review. It's very simple. And this is just one ingredient, 20%. Turns out to be, 6 mils out of this 30 ml bottle. But it was perfect. And then you can adjust it, the concentration to be whatever you need it to be. In a pod, you could go to the 20 mil limit that you have in the UK, or you could go higher than that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's completely up to you.
The thing is, with adding nicks, there is kind of like, for the people that's coming in, there is a bit of confusion around that as well, like your strength, your 3 milligrams, your blah blah. I mean, like for a 120 ml bottle, I would put 2 Nix salts in to give us 3 milligram. You know what I mean? It's but if I wanted 6 milligram, I can't get no more than 2 bottles in, if you know what I mean. So it's down to the nicotine strength after that, isn't it? Type of thing.
That's why it's advantageous to sell higher concentrations of nicotine.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a benefit to buy 100 milligram, concentrations. Or for those DIY vapors out there that are trying to make a 50 milligram liquid for their little tiny pods, they should have 250 milligrams.
Yeah.
And granted, you're going to sell it in a much smaller bottle because this small bottle is going to last you the same as a big bottle of the lower concentration.
Definitely.
5 times as much. But it's a fifth of the concentration.
Yeah. I mean, my wife started to vape again, thankfully. And she's just an amount alone, but I bought a 500 ml of ready-made juice where you just got to put your nicks in. So I'm kind of like mixing that down for her because she wants to be on 6 milligrams. So we're kind of mixing in spare bottles to get her, the right nicotine strength she wants, you know what I mean? And again, like you see at a shop, bought one, you can't get 4 bottles of nicotine in that if you want 6 milligrams. It's just impossible. You need a stronger nick. I don't know if they actually sell them as in such in the UK. I mean, I think it's 18 milligram, your bog standard bottle of Nick salts or Nick shots. I can't remember off the top. I think you want to buy an actual bottle of the nicotine separate. I think a lot of them go for the 72, I believe. I'm not sure now. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think a lot of the guys who are mixing gone for like the 72 milligram of, they buy the nicotine separate in the 72. But the shop retailers, I don't think the retailers do that because obviously I think we're limited on with a 20 milligram. I think we're limited to, so you're not getting any more than that retail. You've got to buy it elsewhere, shall we say.
Well, here's the advantage though. Once you do find yourself a good recipe, you can literally make your own one shot.
Yeah.
You literally eliminate everything else out of it, and you just simply have the flavoring ingredients ready to go. And if this is, your one shot, you can go, make a 500 ml bottle of just your flavoring. And then when it's time for you to mix a liquid, well, guess what? You have a bottle of this, and then you can make your own bottle of 70-30, and you just literally can go fill five bottles up in a matter of 5 minutes. You've made enough e-liquid to last you the whole month.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
It's just a matter of finding your all-day vape flavor that you want to have.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, for me, it was the blue raspberry cotton candy. Here I am, 50-year-old man, and that's all I want to vape. Blue raspberry cotton candy. Yeah, I love it, experimenting and trying all these other things, and I love, switching back and forth, but that's the one I always fall back on.
I was very, very custardy. All day was custard this, custard that, but I'm venturing out a bit. No, I'm trying other stuff now. I mean, because I think on the downside, if you do stick with one flavour, I mean, I've had Vapor's tongue and it's just awful. It can't taste nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You just get so used to it and you just can't.
2 weeks ago, we mixed up a custard, and 2 weeks ago, we mixed up a fruit.
Yeah.
And I put the custard in here, vaped through it, and it was very good, even though it was, very immature. Just mix the thing up. It's going to take a while for that to go in, so I'm like, I'm not going to leave this thing sit here for a whole month until that custard's ready to go. So I took the fruit and put it in here with that custard, and oh my God, that was so delicious. Custard and fruit just blend together so well.
Oh, they do, definitely. I mean, the popular one here, strawberries and custard, it's just, or rhubarb and custard, one of my favourites.
Or blackberry.
Oh,
apricot,
God,
even.
Don't go there.
Oh yeah. Let's go see what's going on in chat here.
People get confused. Going, I'm gonna have some rhubarb and custard. What are you gonna have? But no, I'm gonna vape on it,
That's fantastic. I feel bad for the Canadian mixers out there, because with their 20 milligram limitation, that applies to DIY nicotine as well. So when they buy it, they have to buy the 20 milligram, and it's like,
wow.
Okay, well, instead of just getting your nic in, your normal all propylene glycol or whatever, you now need to get that and factor that into your proportion of your 70-30 mix.
Yeah.
It literally needs to replace the VG and PG.
I still agree with our limit on the 20 milligram, because to be honest, I don't really. I mean, I'm just judging up my experience of being a hardened smoker, and I quit on 20 milligrams. So why, do we really need a higher content? I don't think so. So I think 50 is probably where you would. I mean, if I had a 50 milligram vape, I'd probably start hallucinating. You know what I mean?
True, but you don't DIY. You can buy 72 milligram in the UK.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So for that particular purpose alone. Now, I'm not saying you need to have e-liquid that's higher concentration. That's not why I was arguing that. I was looking from the perspective of looking at the whole field of vaping. I mean, the DIYers need to have that higher concentration.
Oh, God, I totally agree.
Liquid.
I definitely agree with that, without a doubt. But I'm just thinking, like, for retail, I think I'm happy where it is, for retail. But if you're DIYing, you definitely need a bigger concentrate, without a doubt. I totally agree with that one. Because, like you say, in your part of the world, I think DIYing is going to be a massive, massive thing, isn't it, really, when you think about it? The way they're going on. Banning this, and FD is not passing this, and they're not passing that, so
yeah,
I think that's the road you're going to go down, unless it's black market. Definitely.
Mallory Gates has a good point here. And this is why, when somebody asks me, what's your favorite flavoring company? Well, you can't say for certainty that there's one that beats them all, because you're always going to have a dud. She's got a one shot from Flavor Jungle. It was a cookies and cream, and off the knuckle, it tasted fantastic. But as soon as you vaped it, it was horrible burnt cookies and sperm bank.
Yeah, true enough. Just to answer Lance's question, I'm vaping on some loaded lemon bar. That's my juice, and I've got it in the is it ether or ether tank on the little mix kit. I think it was Bogan, and was there somebody else who'd done that with Bogan? I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's what I'm on for in the house. I'm only MTL in the house. I'm not allowed to chuck clouds in the house.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with switching back and forth.
No, I quite enjoy it now and then. It's quite nice.
Yeah. Well, that's like, this Aspire Zealous. I picked this up simply because I know that this is something that would really help people. Aspire has been good, despite, my first vape kit not helping me. This was fantastic. And if this was what I bought originally, I would have been able to quit with it.
I think that's the same kit my wife's on, the Zealous by Aspire. And the beauty is as well the backlog with the coils, because you can put the Nautilus coils in that tank as well. So there's absolutely. I like that about them, because when they bring a new tank out, you're not limited to a coil for that tank. They've actually backlogged it so you can put all the Nautilus coils in, which I think is brilliant. Yeah, and I think a lot of companies should do that. You know what I mean?
Now the older Nautilus coils aren't as good as this new 2S coil that they came out with. I don't know what the difference is, but it is nice to be able to have the old stock, because no matter what vape shop you walk into, you will always be able to find Nautilus coil.
Exactly, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
that's what I like about it. It's fantastic. I was just thinking it'd be nice if like I said, another manufacturer would take a leaf out of their book, because it's yourself, you might buy a tank and then a year down the line you can't get coils for it. That's why I don't really dabble in sub-ohm tanks that much now, because I've got tanks there that I can't get coils for now. It's as simple as that. They're obsolete. They're no good.
Yeah.
So it's a shame.
Ian Thomas says, to be fair, 36 was available and ready to vape, and some found it was what they need to, and lower didn't work. I totally can understand that. There are some people that, that's why Juul is such a successful product. That 50 milligrams was exactly what some smokers needed to go, oh, I don't need the cigarette anymore.
It's a subjective area, but I mean, like I say, I'm just seeing that packed in what I had, because that's all we had here at the time, you know what I mean? But obviously there is the Juul, the 50 milligrams over in the States, and people will use that, definitely, but everybody's got their needs, you know what I mean? I found, like, when I was quitting and I was starting to drop down me nick content, when I went from something like 20 and I dropped straight down to about 6. I went from 20 to 6, I dropped straight down, and I just found I was chaining, so I had to up it again, you see. So everybody's got different levels of nicotine intake, so I mean, I can't say the UK got to 50. Like, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I mean, the prohibitionists out there wanted to get rid of it completely.
Yeah.
Michael Redfern says, I was able to quit with 20 milligram, but it was hard as hell. I had to really want to quit, and that's true no matter what milligram strength you want. If you do not want to quit, I mean, other than maybe these 50 milligram Juuls that are out there, and the new disposables that have surpassed what Juul's able to do, I mean, that's the only way you're going to get a hardened smoker to actually not want to smoke.
You've got to have the mindset. You've got to want to do it. If you don't want to do it, you just won't. It's as simple as that. You've got to have that. The vaping is just an aid. It's just something there to help you. If you vaping's not there just to replace smoking, it's there to help you quit smoking. And if you haven't got that mindset up there that you want to give up the cigarettes, you never will.
Yeah. My wife and I quit with 6 milligram. That's all it took.
Yeah.
But we were chain vaping that first day and a half to no end. We had an old Bigfoot murder kit that was basically a smoke equivalent, TFV8 equivalent coil.
I bet they thought it must have been on an Indian reservation, with all the smoke clouds going up.
Hey, we did it right, though. It's like common sense. I was talking about earlier about how Fridays I was a 3-pack a day smoker. Well, Mondays was maybe a 2. The middle of the week was only about 1 pack a day. And when you went camping, you wouldn't even do a whole pack in a day. So that's what we did. We went camping for a weekend, and we said, you know what? We're going to quit this weekend. Our last cigarette was our last cigarette. We went to camp with only the vape.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I done it, because I know like some people will do a bit of both, but I thought, well, it's just best just to get rid of it, because if I know it's there, it'll still be in the back of my head that they're there. So I thought, get rid and just concentrating on the vape, And that's how I did it. I mean, in a sense, you're all going cold turkey in a sense, but you're just replacing it with your vape device, you know. But if you've got cigarettes still lying about, you've got that temptation, you know. To me, no, I didn't want that.
And it's really hard for a smoker first thing in the morning.
Definitely.
After you eat, there's no question about it. It's like, okay, now it's time for a cigarette. Just the routine aspect of it.
I think with the morning one was it was terrible in the morning. I would probably sit and chain smoke with 3 or 4 cigarettes in the morning, easy with my cup of coffee, just to get that nicotine hit. And that's where I thought I would suffer badly, you know, because I'm thinking, where am I going to get that nicotine hit at this time in the morning and all this stuff? And it kind of didn't bother us. I mean, again, it was down to your willpower, I think, but it was just the habit for me more than the actual need, because it was just a habit of picking something up and putting your mouth down. No, that was like the habitual thing. That was the thing with me. It wasn't so much like the nicotine. I mean, I did crave it, but the cravings did go after about a week or so, or something like that. Your cravings like just surpass after so long. But you still find some vapors today on the morning vape, they'll have a mouth to lung with, I don't know, 18, 20 milligram in, and then that'll get them through the morning, then they'll go down to that 3 or something for the rest of the day. They just need that hit in the morning, you know what I mean? But to me, it doesn't bother us at all now. I can just sit and wake up and just have me 3, no problem now. It just doesn't bother us at all now. I think it's just, it's habit. It's a new habit. That's what I'm saying. You're getting out of one habit and you're getting into another habit, which is a better habit in my eyes. So it did, just like I say, the nicotine hit really. I mean, I'll chain it a bit like at first, but after that, it's just back to normal. You know what I mean? As you do, carry on.
I started, like I said, 6 milligram is what I quit with, and until I started doing these reviews of these disposables, I never would have thought of going anything higher than that. However, after looking at all the science that's out there, I mean, there are so many things can benefit from daily use of nicotine. Especially as we get older and we start getting all these other problems going on, just the natural course of aging. Yeah. It's just, and none of this stuff, the last episode that Grim Green was talking about, TBN Tuesday, he was talking about it, about the parallels with the drugs and the drug users that are out there and how they've been chastised and whatnot, and abstinence only is the only solution and whatnot. But there's the parallel there that there are benefits to these drugs. And like PTSD is something that these veterans for decades have been dealing with. And there's no good solution to it. No. And one of the things that they're finding out now that they've legalized cannabis in a lot of areas, well, what do you think these veterans were doing? And they're keeping a big secret because it was illegal. Yeah. And now that's gotten the researchers going, hey man, they've been doing this for a long time. Let's actually look and find out how beneficial it is, and can we make it more beneficial if, like, we up the dose or down the dose or added something else to go along with it? Definitely. Well, I mean, I said,
I've seen a lot of things, not just like, like you see with the vets, and I've seen, like people with like, physical illnesses where the epilepsy or something, where that kind of stuff calms them down and stops them having that kind of stuff. So there's something there, isn't there? Definitely. I mean, when you think about it, most of our drugs, pills, medicines are probably all plant-based anyway, one way or the other. So,
Michael Redfern says people don't do drugs unless they feel it's helping them in some way. This is a drug.
Yeah, caffeine. Which I think you've just done. It's got the same effects as nicotine, pretty much.
Exactly the same effects as nicotine.
They go hand in hand. And
yes, except for exactly where it's metabolized in your body, the rest of the effects are identical.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it kind of makes sense when you go to these AA meetings, why you see all these people that go to the AA meeting sitting there smoking a cigarette and drinking a coffee, hand in hand.
Too massive.
Because it's a mood elevator, and it relaxes you, and the benefits of it, you cannot deny that.
Well, it's definitely that. I mean, yourself, when you were a smoker, if you got up in the morning, you had no cigarettes, well, that was it, isn't it? The world's nobody get in my way till I get a cigarette.
And the thing is, the abuse liability is the same for both. I mean, there are people I know when I first moved into Pennsylvania and first came out here, was going to college, and then when I stopped going to college and was just working, There were people that were literally buying the caffeine pills in the gas stations and snorting them like cocaine to get that energy they needed to be able to do their job at work. We were doing chrome plating, and it's just basically loading racks and then unloading the racks after it moves through the cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to do drugs. There's nothing you can do to change what a person chooses to do or not to do. No law is going to control what people individually decide or don't decide to do.
It's definitely that. I mean, like I say, some people will use it to give them that lift or boost of energy. I mean, when you look at, obviously, the sadness of all the celebrities that have died through it, you know, but they've needed it for the actual workload they're putting their bodies through. They've needed something to get them through that workload, you know what I mean? And, you know, that's the sad thing about it. But and then it turns into addiction. So
Yeah.
it can be a nasty thing, but, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? It's a sad thing. Definitely.
Deb22 says, I quit with 24 milligram, but quickly dropped to 3. But now I'm at 1.5 milligram.
Wow.
And that's perfectly fine. You know, if 1.5 is all you need to get through your day and to be happy, then that's great. And you could literally taper to 0 if that's what you choose to do. But don't feel obligated to. I haven't seen any studies that actually say that nicotine is going to hurt you. And if it does hurt you, it's not going to hurt you any more than your cup of coffee. If you're drinking coffee, you're doing the same thing as, you know, using nicotine. It's just a different drug that does the same thing to your body. Too much coffee is, you know, is not good for you either. But
exactly.
Taking it from somebody who was at 6 milligram, tapered down to 3, then to 1.5, and then just for the scientific purposes of my own knowledge, I went to 0 and was vaping 0. And it turned out that it wasn't that intentional. I thought it was a 1.5 milligram. I thought it was a bottle that I nicked up, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on that I realized when I tasted it, and then I tasted a bottle that was 1.5, I opened the wrong package. Because when you did 0 for a week and you taste the 1.5, you can taste the difference.
Yeah.
And you can feel that little rush.
You can anyway. Even if you'd use Nick, you go to 0, you'll just find your chain in it because you want that Nick. So you kind of
do
know
for
anyway,
the first little bit, but like anything else, your body gets used to it.
Yeah. I can imagine so, yeah. I could never see myself on 0. Like, I think if I went to 0, I'd probably stop because I think that would be the whole purpose of it, really. You know, I don't know. Vaping 0. I mean, I know a couple of people that do because they enjoy the flavours, but I think maybe if you don't need that nicotine rush, do you need the vape? I mean, you know, it's subjective, isn't it?
Well, it also depends. There's lots of different people out there. I know people that, you know, they only smoke in social situations. When they go to the club, they smoke. But the rest of the week, they don't smoke. Maybe after work, they'll have one with, you know, standing there with a friend and as a social thing to do. And they might have one with dinner. But the rest of the time, they don't smoke. It's just, I don't understand how people can do that. I was never like that.
I wasn't.
I wanted to smoke all the time.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy like that. He used to buy 10 cigarettes because we could get them in 10 packets then, and they would, you know, they would last about 2 or 3 weeks. And you think, how are them lasting you so long? Oh, and you have one now and then. Well, what's the point?
And that's the advantage of open tank systems. You know, I was just seeing this comment here from Mallory Gates saying that I hate when tobacco control experts keep blaming kids being hooked on vaping when they can easily drop their nicotine to 0 over time.
Definitely.
Sure. If the products were available for them to switch and cut down.
See, that's the thing. I mean, and I'll take probably a bit of a hoody-doody, but like, you know, a lot of, if you've got like a son or a daughter, 13, 14, 15, whatever, who's smoking, would you give them a vape to stop them smoking? No, that's a dilemma that is very frowned upon, especially around here, because then it's a teen vape. But you know, if you could make the vapes available to stop teen smoking, would you do it?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
I sure would. I look at it from this perspective. If you have something out there that is far more enjoyable than smoking, their entire lives, they've been brainwashed into how bad tobacco is for you.
Yeah.
Now it's at the point now where even if the FDA all of a sudden tomorrow announced that, we authorize these 5,000 e-liquids because it's a benefit to public health.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have a big dust storm from all the body part organizations, everybody else up in arms over it. But once it got out there, people wouldn't be using it, jumping on board, smokers especially, because they've been told all this time, all these things by the government, and how many things the government says turns out not to be true.
Oh, definitely.
Turn out to be some propaganda to get you to do things a certain way.
Well, this is it. I mean, the government, especially I think the UK wants to be smoke free by 2030, blah blah blah. But on the other side of the coin, they're quite happy to take the tax off the people that smoke, and you know what I mean. It's a catch-22, isn't it, when you think about it? You know what I mean?
Yep.
We don't want to be smoking, but if you do smoke, we'll take a big chunk and tax off you. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? So
I don't want anybody to be smoking. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're going to allow tobacco to continue to be sold everywhere, then you should allow everything that's less harmful than tobacco, even if it's 1% less harmful, to be out on the market.
I don't think
it burns my wire. 95% less harmful, and people don't get it.
Nah. I mean, I don't think you'll ever get rid of tobacco. I think it'll be here for, a long time to come yet. I still think it'll be available for many, many years to come yet.
Oh, sure.
Decades, perhaps.
And it's just a matter of time before they figure out, how to come up with a delta of the nicotine, just like they do with the cannabis.
Definitely. I mean, I think about, did you say the tobacco leaf itself is probably not as harmful as all the chemicals they put in the filters and all that. It's probably the stuff that add to it to get you addicted to it that's more harmful than maybe actual tobacco on its own, you know what I mean? Even though it is still harmful, but it's more harmful by the time it's went through the manufacturing process, because they want you to get addicted to it, and they will add something to get you even more addicted to it at the end of the day. So it's maybe they could do something with that in the future where they're not adding so much to it. You just don't know, do you? It's what they add. It's like with everything. It's what they add to it that keeps you hooked on it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
My wife points out the kids are going to do what the kids want to do. Why not help them in the right direction?
Yeah,
I would never
definitely.
just hand my child a vape, but be like, here, have this. But I would if they were smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, definitely. If it helped them to come off the cigarettes, then yes, but not just to have one because it looks cool or it's socially accepted. But I think that's what the problem was with cigarettes years ago. It was exactly that. It was a social thing. It looked cool and all. You had film stars and everything on the old movies smoking. It looked cool and everything. And then it's the same kind of thing scenario with the vaping. They think they look great with it and all that stuff. Well, no, you don't. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Lance Schwartz says they say that there's 4,000 different chemicals in every cigarette. Actually, it's more than that, depending on what research you actually look at. I think the highest number I ever saw was like 7,000, because they actually looked at the byproducts of the smoking, and they looked at the halfway chemicals that are involved as well.
I think one of the biggest things was the actual tar, like the tar leaves in your lungs, that horrible black goo. That's one of the biggies in them, without a doubt.
Yeah. But it's not just the tars. I mean, there's hundreds of known cancer-causing chemicals. There is, Mallory Gates has the exact figure for us. 7,357 chemicals.
Wow.
In the combustion of a cigarette.
If that's not an eye-opener, what is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like the fact that, they add all kinds of stuff to tobacco leaves, and you're not actually burning just tobacco leaves inside of a cigarette. They have reconstituted tobacco, because all the scraps from the shop, they sweep them up and they put them into this machine, mill it all up, the stems and everything else.
Yeah.
When I did the news this past week, looking at the tobacco actually grown, they export so much of the United States tobacco leaves because they're big leaves with hardly any stems per volume of leaf. And then you have other varieties of tobacco in other countries when the growing conditions aren't as ideal, and those are much stiffer
Smaller
and
leaves,
lots of
yeah.
stems and a lot of
Yeah.
small leaves. So they basically throughout the world now have literally created this import-export trade market where they're taking the shit and sending it over here to be put into the good cigarettes. There is no such thing as a pure tobacco cigarette
No, no.
anymore.
No.
Even the cigars aren't that are doing the same thing.
Like I say, even the hand rolling tobacco, it's not it's not pure tobacco. It's just full of crap as well, isn't it? You know what I mean?
And then how many
then
chemicals are being used as fertilizers now that weren't being
Well, this
used
is
when
it.
Columbus came to the continent and found tobacco leaves with the Indians?
Oh, this is it. Imagine what it would be like though in its purest form. I better, dear me, I better blew your heat off.
Yeah.
There's a cigarette. Whoa.
Sean Lynch wants to know how you're doing, Kenny.
Oh, sorry, Sean. I've noticed I'm terrible for. You should know now when I've done the bargain vapes. I'm terrible for watching chat. I just roll along and then I go.
No,
"Oh,
that's
there's
okay.
chat." You know what I mean? But Sean, I'm fine. Thank you, bud.
Mallory Gates points out all the tobacco plant is used in some way. Some is used as an herbicide. Yep.
Not much gets wasted off the big.
And that's the one thing that, the farmers have actually grown since they've legalized cannabis and they've changed some of the regulations in the federal statutes. You're now allowed to grow the cannabis plants for the hemp to be used for all these other purposes, hemp rope and all the other things that they can make out of it.
It's mind-boggling, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the UK they've been pushing for a long, long time to get it legalised, but I can't really see it happening in the near future. There's still a lot of pressure on the governments to do so, but I just can't see it really happening. But then again, when most of our politicians are probably sitting snorting lines of cocaine and that, I mean,
Yeah,
what do you
there's
do?
no question about that.
You know what I
It's
mean?
funny because you look at them on TV when they're sitting there talking and stuff, and you can just catch on to the little things. Being somebody that was DJing in a club for decades, you know what people do and how they do it, and you can tell if somebody's a user or not a user.
Of course you can.
And it's pretty obvious when some of these people are on, national television, and you look at it and you see the same behaviors and mannerisms, and it's like, okay, yeah,
Yep.
we know what you're doing. You're saying
did
one
you
thing,
have
but
last
you're doing
night?
something else in the back corner.
Yeah. What did you just take in that toilet there before you came here? Come on.
Yeah. Little pick me up before you got on stage today.
Yeah, this is it, like it. Just a little, a bit of Dutch courage.
Speaking of little pick me ups, how about we go and mix up a recipe? And I think I'm going to let
Come
you
on,
pick
then.
out the recipe today.
Ooh.
So let's go over here. What can I make? Let Sherlock Holmes come up with the list. And you get to pick whatever the recipe is today that I make.
I would like, if you can, a nice strawberry custard.
Okay.
Because I love custard.
All right, let's go through the list here. What do we have? Move you over to the right.
Saying I like it so much, I don't want no little 30-minute. I want a litre.
Well, until we know for a fact that it's a good recipe, I'm not going there. That's like this cherry whiskey that I have. I've made a cherry whiskey that turned out, started as a snow cone, but turned into a cherry whiskey. It's a true cherry whiskey, but this is not
Really?
something I could vape all the time. Can you imagine the taste of cherry whiskey in your mouth all the time? I don't care how accurate the flavor is.
No, I'm not a fan of whiskey anyway to start with, so
Yeah.
perish the thoughts.
This Miyagi's cappuccino cream was very accurate. Strawberry cookie.
That's what you find with some of these commercial flavours, like if you do like a little knuckle test and you go, oh, that's lovely, and then when you vape it, it's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Total different. It's like black and white. Ooh. Cheesecake and all that. I've never had a really good cheesecake, to be honest with you. But never.
No, you didn't have a strawberry cheesecake. I've had a couple of commercial liquids that were made that were really good, and it's pretty easy to do, but it's not a very stable flavor.
No. I'll tell you one that I like that's very difficult to find. A nice cherry Bakewell. The commercial ones are awful.
The cherry flavors are hard to get one that, is truly cherry that isn't like medicine.
I think with the Bakewells, there isn't the almond ice and background flavors. It's all cherry. There's just nothing else, and it's really difficult to find the one that's got the right balance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, here's a very simple recipe. It's a strawberry cotton custard. The cotton you can eliminate from the thing because it's basically just a sweetener. Yeah. So it's technically a strawberry custard.
A simple recipe for a simple man of simple needs. That's all I am.
Well, I think this is the one that we're going to do today. We're going to adapt this, and we're going to call it what it really is. The cotton candy is just a misnomer. It's literally ethyl maltol is what cotton candy is, because if you know, cotton candy is nothing but spun sugar. They take the sugar, they spin it and crush it and heat it up, and it comes out as a spider web, just like fiberglass.
That's right, yeah.
All right, so we'll make up a little 30 ml bottle of this. We'll try that out. Save that and pull out these ingredients here.
6 ml. It does look simple like that, but like I say, when you see some of the more complex recipes, like, whoa. It's crazy.
So we got our TFA cotton candy and strawberry ripe and vanilla. I'm assuming it's version 1. Dr. Mendelssohn's book just hit the bucket.
Oh my God.
Fantastic book.
That's a Bible, that man, don't lose that.
And the thing is, it's written so that anybody can read this. You don't have to be a Nobel scholar or, collegiate, erudite type person. It's written for the common person.
Is it available in the UK? Is it? Because I can't say I've never seen it.
It's probably available on Amazon in the UK, because that's where I bought it from, Amazon in the US.
Ah, right. So or even a downloadable version will be on Amazon, whatever.
Yeah, you can get the ebook version of it.
Yeah. Definitely worth having a look at.
All right.
Definitely.
Very bright. Very simple.
Everything's simple when you know how to do it.
But that's what this show's all about, is to take the fear out of doing this.
It is. Taking that leap of faith.
Good enough.
Oh. Do you know what it is? If us over in the UK, where the part of the UK where I live, if we got caught with a set of them in the house, I'd think we were bloody drug dealers.
Just a scale?
Really them type. They do, honestly. They're very popular with the cannabis people around here.
Well, yeah, I could understand that. I understand its purpose in the drug deals and whatnot, but...
Really, you'd be labelled straight away with what you're doing, what you're selling.
Kitchen is the most commonly used place for scales.
Oh, I've used them before. I've got a little old set of digital kitchen scales. I mean, you've got to put a bit of a weight on them, you've got to move your numbers about a bit to get some readings, but they do work eventually,
Yeah, and a lot of these scales actually come with a bowl that sits on here.
That's right, yeah.
And then you can tear it out, and then a lot of the cooks that are out there, at least some of the ones like Alton Brown here in the States, he's one that he doesn't use measuring cups. He uses weight for everything, because you can't tell how much air is in the flour. And that's why they tell you the old school would sift their flour before they would measure it.
Flour, that's right, yeah.
Well, the easier and most accurate way to do it, regardless of whether it's compacted down or whether it's open, is a scale. Because you're always going to get the exact same amount of flour.
I mean, I've seen guys use syringes, but I mean, you know, that's just a chew on. That a syringe for that one, a syringe for that one, a syringe for that one. You know, I think that would be a bit. Oof.
Yeah. I love using a syringe for the simplicity of how quick you can get the approximate amount that you need. And then the scale just confirms it.
I'm with you.
See, like, and the thing is, I went over. It's supposed to be 1.86. With a syringe, when you first put it in there, you can take it out.
Ah, right, I see. I'm with you.
And adjust it.
It's better than actually like having a guess rather pouring it in and sitting watching the scale and going, oh no, I've gone over.
Well, you know that you're going to put in 1.86, so you take a 5 mil syringe, you pull out 2 mils, you squeeze it until it's almost all gone, and then you just fine tune the last couple drops.
Yeah, you're pretty much there.
Yeah. All right, so 0.32 of this cotton candy, which is literally just the sweetener for this. It's just a matter of going a couple drops at a time until you get to where you need to be. And if you go over a little bit, we're only talking about flavoring here, so what's the big deal?
You don't have to be like 100% accurate, you know, it's not like...
No. And the thing is, once you realize that this is nothing but sweetener, when you go and you mix this up and you try it and you go, oh, well, it's not sweet enough. Well, instead of putting 0.32 in here, 0.35, let's put 0.7 in. Let's just double it, make it 2%.
See.
Now with the other flavors, it's a matter of balancing.
Ah, right.
So we got our vanilla custard, and I'm using the version 1 for this, and that's 0.9. Fantastic. And then last ingredient is just strawberry ripe. This is 1.2. And from my experience with these flavors, I really like the proportions that they picked for this recipe.
Yeah. So how are you finding obtaining like the concentrates and that in the US? Are they still readily available? Or
yes.
They're trying to,
Flavorings are always going to be readily available because they're used in a lot of different industries. You want to make a cupcake and you want to have, strawberry flavor in there without putting strawberry in it.
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's our basic flavorings.
I just thought it'd be kind of some kind of loophole, like where you can do it, like you say, use it for something else, like you do with the bubble glasses. They're an accessory, they're not part of the vape kit. They're classed an accessory, so they can get away with it.
It's just a matter of how much people want to comply with the law and how truthful their customers are, because you have to declare intent. And how can you determine what a customer's intent is?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was the same kind of thing with the when we banned menthol cigarettes here. They weren't even banned a week, and they brung a Rizzler card that you just stick in your packet of cigarettes and turns them into menthol, you know what I mean? And they class it as an accessory, so it's a loophole. And they make a brand of cigarettes, even though they're not menthol, but they'll absorb the menthol of this card, and it's just another loophole. It works in the tobacco industry as well as the vape industry, you know what I mean? The loopholes that they have, because they're classed as an accessory rather than an actual product.
And I just talked about that on the news too, about, you think that the people are just going to quit smoking menthols?
No, there's ways around that already. So I'm seeing there's ways around that already. They've got little cards, or they've got them little poppers you can pop in the filter. They've got all sorts going already.
Well, you can buy the little balls that they used to have like in Camel Crushes.
That's right. The little
and you can sit there and poke a hole
poppers
into your filter, put that crush in there.
Yeah.
That little tiny ball.
Yeah,
one little medicine bottle like this, is going to last a smoker probably fucking 5-6 months. Who knows?
Yeah, easy. I think it's like with everything. Everybody will find a way around something.
Laws are like locks. They only keep the honest people honest.
it's the old say like flouting the law. You're kind of overstepping it, but you're not. You're like on the border.
Well, I went over half a mil, but that's okay.
So with that being a custard, I mean, ideally, would you let that steep, or will it be okay for a shake and vape?
At this recipe concentration where the strawberry is 4 and the custard's 3, it's probably going to take a while to get to its full flavor.
Yeah.
But like most recipes, when you do the first shake on it, you can get a general idea of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Knowing the fact that the custard isn't fully ripe until, 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah. I'm with you.
We did a strawberry crunch bar that we mixed up, and it's kind of like a strawberry shortcake.
Yeah.
When you first mix it, you can tell the fruits are really bright, and the custard or the bakery notes are kind of a back end, and it's just a little bit lower. And you'll know that after that sits a little while, it's going to start going like this. And matter of finding the perfect time is, in 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to be like this.
When they're like 50-50.
Then you go another 3 or 4 weeks, and now it's going to be like this. The fruits are going to take even further back end.
I mean, for me, I'm like, my palate is very, it's crap. I'm not a connoisseur. My palate is awful. If I'm the kind of like, if it tastes what it says on the tin, then to me it's a decent juice. There's some juices where I might not pick up this flavour, or I may not pick up that flavour, because I do wear dentures on the top, and that kind of nulls me palate a bit anyway. But sometimes I do find it hard to find other flavours in juices, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you might say, oh well, you've got a custard there, and the predominant flavour will be the custard, which I say, yeah, I can get that. Then they'll say, oh well, there's a strawberry there in the background. I'll go, no, there's not.
Yeah, where'd the strawberry go?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's there, but obviously, I can't. My palate's not the finest.
Well, everybody tastes things differently too, and some people can't taste strawberry no matter what. If they, to save their life, they wouldn't be able to identify it as strawberry.
I mean, especially like I say, I don't know if you've had Vapor's tongue, but that is horrendous. Yes. You can't taste anything.
One time.
Doesn't matter what. It's awful. It's not just vaping, by the way, folks. It's everything. Your tea, your coffee, you just can't taste nothing.
And no matter what you do, it doesn't seem to help at all. And I love it. People tell you, oh, you need to eat some hot pepper or something like that. It'll reset your tongue. No, your tongue's on overload. Overloading it even more is kind of like the idea of, oh, you got poison ivy, scrub it with bleach. Sure, give yourself a chemical burn. That'll help the poison ivy.
Yeah. I've been told to suck a lemon once, but I mean, no.
Too tight.
That resets everything, a lemon. Jesus. What's that device you're waking up there?
This is the Bushido V3.
The Bushido V3, wow.
This is fantastic because of the fact that it is so small, you have to vape it at a low wattage, but it truly represents what your flavors are. If I put something in that I taste is, a strawberry custard, well, when I vape it, it produces exactly the same flavor. There's never been any variations of it. It works fantastic for fruits. It works great for custards. It works great for just about anything that I've tried in it.
That's like kind of like another thing for juice makers. They'll have a one RGA or whatever that they will use to test the flavors. They'll not budge on anything else. You know what I mean?
And it's very easy to get perfect.
Yeah.
If you look on here, they've got little slots in the side. So your coil is going to be perfectly placed inside there. Because you take your tool and you literally rest it right across there. And it just one leg comes off this way and one leg comes off that way, and it's the right height.
You're not going to sit too high or too low. That's just like a guide, yeah?
Yeah.
Looks cool.
And I got my DNA reference mod back yesterday. I was
Oh yeah, did you? Was it all fine and dandy now, or?
sure is. Matter of fact, yesterday I hooked it up to the computer and actually updated the firmware on it.
Ah, right. Nowadays I never do that on my mods. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I never ever do it.
There are so many things in there that you can adjust on there.
Yeah, well, I've
But
got
it's
I've got a paranormal. I've got a Las Vegas paranormal. I mean, the old one. You know what I mean? And it's still ticking over, and I've never ever touched it at all on a computer. I've never even plugged it in.
Yeah, just have to go and download the software for it.
Yeah.
And yes.
I think though, if you're happy enough with it, I mean, need really, you know, if my philosophy is not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they do have, things as time goes on, like software, they find out that, there's something that they did that isn't quite 100% accurate. And it's very simple to do the update. Once you have it connected on there and you have the software, it recognizes it. You can change the name of the thing to identify it. If you've got multiple DNAs, you can call this whatever you want to call it. And it'll store it in the device. So if you hook it up to a different computer, when you hook it up with the software, it'll say that's the same name as what you called it.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's just something I think I just have to go through all my mods and see if I can update them.
Most of the mods don't come out with firmware updates on it. It's been a nice feature because there have been mods that came out and they realized, oh, we did a decimal point wrong when we created the software for it.
Well, seeing that the G-Class V2, when you actually buy it and you install all the software or connect to the software, the first thing it does is an update.
Yeah.
Literally, as soon as you connect it up. What resistance is that coil you've got in there? What's it coming out at?
0.37.
Wow, that's alright. That's cool, that.
Fantastic. And I can smell that. I can smell the custard.
We need scratch and sniff technology on YouTube.
Smell-o-vision, that's going to be somebody's...
Yeah, smell-o-vision.
That's going to be somebody's pet rock one day when they come up with how to do smell-o-vision on TV.
Oh, God, wow. That could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing as well, though, couldn't it?
I'm not getting very much of the strawberry.
No?
No, I do get the custard. It's not a full custard. I get that initial taste of custard when you first mix and shake it.
Yeah. You look like you're enjoying it still, though.
Very much so.
You swine. I'm not jealous. No, I'm not. I am not jealous.
I think that this is going to be one of those recipes I'm going to play with for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the one things about strawberry is there literally are two kinds of strawberries. You have the strawberry ripe, which kind of tastes like, when you take strawberries and you try and macerate them to make, a strawberry glaze for a pie or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have sweet strawberry, which is more of the candied type of strawberry.
That's right,
and a lot of the recipes I've done, in order for you to get the strawberry berry flavor, you kind of have to put a little bit of both of those in there.
Right.
Because then you get that bite of the strawberry where it gets that little bit of a tartness to it. And then you get the meaty aspect of the strawberry as you're chewing it.
So you've actually got to balance the actual strawberry flavour itself.
Yeah.
Wow. See what I mean? It can be complicated, I tell you.
These are just little tips and tricks that you pick up along the way. And the more experience you have, and the more you talk with other vapors, and the more you look at recipes, you see patterns emerging that it's just like they never have just the one.
Yeah.
When they do a full release of something.
That's true, because you always kind of see them doing an updated version where they've, tried another version of it and it's better, so they'll update it, I think. So you see a lot of that. without a
The other
doubt.
thing I really like about this fact is it's not very sweet. Because it's not very sweet, that's why I can really taste the custard in this now.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think with some of the custards, has absolutely ruined them with just tons of sweetener in, like, because some of them are just too sweet. I'm more like a creamy custard rather than a sweet custard, you know what I mean? So I like a bit of creaminess in them.
Let's take a look at chat here.
Oh, God, we're ignoring them all again.
No, it's okay. I have it still set on top chat, not live chat.
Aha.
Chasing Clouds and Flavor Reviews, thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here. And yes, you're a mod. I've known you the entire time that I've been on YouTube, so why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be? Oh, let's see. What did I see here is the question. I don't even remember who asked it. Now it gets it all, I'll let it steep 14 days. Yeah, to get the true flavor of this one, it's going to take about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Before you start playing with it and tweaking it.
That's what I'm
Chasing
saying.
Clouds is the same thing.
After it's steeped for so long, can you still add stuff to it, or is that once
sure.
it's steeped, it's done? You can still add to it after the steep time, yeah?
Yeah. The custard will be fully developed at that point, and then you can add other fruit flavors to it. The fruits, you can instantly recognize.
Yeah. So it's not done and dusted after the steep time.
No. No, matter of fact, I even talk about that, I've got this open road that is a Fruit Loops thing, and this is something that my son would have loved when he was vaping. He's in Japan right now, so he's not vaping. He's smoking flavored cigarettes, I imagine.
Oh,
or he
gosh.
might be doing that IQOS stuff. Who knows?
Yeah.
When you're young, you feel like you're invincible, so you don't pay attention to things. As you get older, you reach that little hump in your life, and it's like every morning you wake up and it's like, oh man, my joints are cracking. Even if they don't hurt, it's like your knees aren't supposed to make that sound when you get out of bed in the morning.
No.
That is a very enjoyable vape. Could use some more strawberry, like I said.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how this mellows out with time.
Yeah, I bet it's very nice either way.
We did a couple episodes back, Will's Custard. And it's been sitting here. And you can tell, looking at those coils, that this is now fully saturated and has reached its peak flavor. That is definitely a true custard.
Yeah. Yeah, no mood smell.
I need to turn that wattage up on there.
I don't want smell-o-vision. I want virtual televisions where I can just put my hand through with this camera and just grab that bottle off you.
Listen, I now that I know what flavors you like and stuff, I'll send you a care package for Christmas.
Oh, you're a star.
Why not?
Love it.
It's gonna be at the point of with me doing 2-3 recipes every single week, even though they're little 30 ml bottles. It's getting to the point now where it's like, I tasted it. I'm only using, maybe 5-10 mils max out of these little bottles. And then it's like, well, I need to focus on the other stuff that I just mixed that I know is ready now.
So do you come up with your own recipes as well? Do you have the old cogs where in there to see if you can do your own kind of thing? Or do you just like kind of tweak the stuff that you've got? Or
I really like working on other people's recipes and then trying to improve them to the point where I could use them as an all-day vape. And it takes time because, like you said, it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks before this custard is pretty much leveled out and whatnot.
Definitely. Just to answer Lance's question, I'm not sure what's coming up yet next for review, sir, because there's nothing that takes me fancy yet, and I do like to buy something that I like, I'm going to use, so I'm sorry. We shall wait and see. Plus, times are bloody hard over here, the cost of living, you know what I mean? It's taking its toll.
Yeah, I even talked about that on the news this past week about how the fuel prices for everything from, home heating fuel to even the, cost of gasoline is going up, which drives everything else up.
Crazy.
Housing,
I think
food, everything costs more now.
I think the annoying thing was the big companies like your BPs and all that announced massive profits in the first quarter this year, and everybody was in a right hoo-ha about
Yeah,
that
they
one.
don't care about,
No.
the actual customer. They have a product that you need to get to work. You're going to buy their fuel regardless of what they sell it for.
Exactly. They've got you by the short and curlies, basically. They know you need it, and, they can pretty much do what they want with it.
Okay, now Dusty Road left a comment on a previous video of mine and asked, about what's the best tanks to buy right now. He and his wife are looking to do a nice purchase, and he mentioned the Arbiter and he mentioned the Steam Crave. I noticed Legion Vapes just did the review on the Steam Crave Aromamizer V3, and something about his comment had me going, wait a minute here, are you a mouth-to-lung vapor? Or are you a direct lung vapor? What part of the spectrum do you fall on? Do you do a little bit of both to put you in the middle? Do you like the cloud chucking? Or, how wide is your gamut of what vapes you enjoy doing? That's what we need to understand before I can recommend what's the best.
Whether you're sub-ohm tanking or you're rebuildable tanking or you're RDA, depends where you're at.
He's getting into the rebuildable stuff.
Yeah.
So I need to know where he's coming from. Is he like more an Aspire Zealous guy? Or we got something like this Odin?
If it's a normal RTA, I have recently had the Blaze by Mike Vapes, his new tank. The Mike Vapes Blaze tank's very nice. His most recent tank, that's mint. Really nice. MTLs, I'm not really I don't really do a lot of MTLs, so I'm not really up to date with the latest MTL tanks. My favourite RDA, I would say, is that Valhalla V2 Mini at the moment. It is absolutely out of this world.
So Dusty Country Road says that his wife is mouth to lung and he's direct lung. All right, so if you're looking into rebuildable, let's go to the overhead. Let's move us up here.
This ether's a mouth to lung. It's not bad, so I think it'll be cheap enough now. It's not brand new, but it's okay.
Yeah. Here's the Arbiter Solo. This is a perfect mouth to lung, and you look at it and you can tell it's mouth to lung because of the airflow opening. There's only opening on one side. There's nothing on the other side. You do have an air hole, pinhole here, but that's only so that you could literally take this and turn this airflow all the way down to make it literally just that tiny airflow. That is mouth to lung as it gets.
That would be very tight, like with the smallest hole in it. Very tight.
Or you can literally take all these little holes here are also open, and you can literally turn it down to the point where it's as tight as you'd like it to be. They got a little tiny air hole here.
With all them, is it got up where you can open all the airflows so you can make it a tight direct lung, or is it just MTL?
Yep. With that slot, the way it is now, this slot is the airflow, the full max airflow you can get. It's a tight, restricted direct lung.
Yeah, tight DTL.
And the thing is, depending on what kind of airflow you want, you're going to put different coils in it. Like right now, the stock coil that came with it is perfect like this. Open up, and you can turn it down some. But if you turn it down too much, you can tell it's a much hotter temperature.
Yeah.
And the flavor changes a little bit inside there.
Yeah.
But that's just a matter of changing the coil, the wire that you use for your coil inside there. But this is a perfect rebuildable mouth to lung tank that's out there. And there's other ones out there, but this is just happens to be one that I have.
Yeah.
And this is something that you could even use yourself.
Yeah.
Now, the Arbiter is what I use every day. Now, this is for cloud chucking. Very easy to wick. Very easy to get a beautiful flavor out of.
Oh, it's a nice tank, that, like.
And this is what I use every day. I got 6 of these because I like it that much.
6?
I have 6 of these.
God, better. I
Here's
normally
just a
just buy
couple of
one
them.
of each.
I love this one that much. I've got a video on my channel that says this is the best RTA ever, and I mean it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this is the best RTA ever, because you get RTAs that are finicky. This one isn't finicky. Once you get that coil placed in there, equally distant space all the way around, it's perfect position for the airflow the way it's designed.
Yeah.
They have full airflow 360 degrees in the middle of the coil where you heat the coil first.
Yeah.
Now, the outer part of the coil gets airflow only from the top outer sides. So the center part of the coil, the most of your airflow comes up there, gives you the most flavor, keeps the coil cooled equally throughout. And if you do get any residual heat buildup, like if you like to chain vape and you use a high wattage, there's enough airflow to keep that coil cool, and it lasts a long time. I literally don't have to mess with this for almost a month before it's time to change the coils, change the cotton. And the coils in there, you just burn off the gunk that's on it. I got a toothbrush I use just for vaping that I clean it off.
Yeah.
You know, give it a little quick dry burn again, redo the cotton.
Good to go. Good to go.
I'm embarrassed to say this, but the original Arbiter that I have still has the original coil that came with that tank.
There's no wrong with that, I tell you.
Now, I know it needs changed now, but just out of curiosity, I was looking to see how long could I run this thing before it gets to the point where the coil is totally dud.
The most I've pushed a coil, and it still kind of worked, but you could tell each it was 4 months. Easy. Just about 4 months, as long as I had one in. I just kept cleaning it every time I wicked it and burning all the crap off.
Now, in
Can't push them,
comparison,
dispute them.
for the other stuff that he talked about, he was asking about the Steam Crave Aromamizer V3. Here's a size comparison of the Arbiter with the Aromamizer V3. This is the V2, I'm sorry. But it's the same thing that would come with your setup.
Yeah.
And it's modular, so
That's a big bloody tank, though, and it's tall.
and you can cut it down.
And you still turn into a dripper like you can with the other ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do it this way, or you could literally take off this section and it literally will shorten it to this height, and it literally is a dripper at that point.
Yeah. Very small, yeah.
Now, this is the Aromamizer Plus, and this is the V2, and I've got the Aromamizer Supreme. This is the Plus, and this is the Supreme. And just for reference, this is the Glaze.
Yeah.
The Glaze is essentially the same thing as the Aromamizer Plus, except it's got a glass chamber for the center.
The glass. We call it the glass over here. Not the glaze.
glass.
The glass.
I made this the glass.
The glass. What the hell?
But there's a simple to do. It's a little finicky as far as, you know, getting the right amount of cotton in these openings in the hole. But there's plenty of room to play with.
I think with a lot of the Steam Crave, I don't know how well people are with wicking techniques, but I find that like the damming method is where you just sit it on top of your opening. It works best with them.
Yeah, try not to get it in the hole, because if you push it in the hole, you'll stuff the hole.
Don't push it through the hole, you'll just choke it.
Now the Supreme can be used as mouth to lung. It's not a very tight mouth to lung, but it's certainly not on the same level as the Aromamizer Plus.
Yeah.
And you can tell just by looking at the build deck. Those coils I have in there are too big for this to be an enjoyable vape. But you can do them if you really wanted to.
Wow.
2.5 millimeter coils in this would be ideal.
Yeah,
these are
threes, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Bogan's Blotto. You can put 3s in them, but you're not going to have a very enjoyable vape unless you like it hot. Put a 2.5 in there, and you're right in the perfect ballpark for it. And like Steve says on his video, here's the Plus V2. They came out with the Plus V3. They did minor improvements to the airflow. On the deck on the new one, they have honeycomb airflow on the deck. Well, here we have the Supreme V3, and it's basically the same thing. They improve the airflow, but it's just a little bit smaller tank.
It's kind of the next chapter with all the ideas. You know, when they first started, it was the wattage race, wasn't it? So you could get the highest wattage without it burning your gob off, and now it's all about airflow and flavour now.
And you have the expansion decks, the chimneys. You can take and change out this straight glass for a bubble glass that they include in here. And they also sell, other decks that you can interchange in here. So if you're a mesh vapor, you can put a mesh tank, mesh build deck inside these things.
Yeah. I think I've got the mesh deck for the Titan.
And that's what this is. This is the mesh deck for the Supreme. Use the bending tool to bend your mesh on, and then you put it into the platform, wick it, drop the cotton in there, and you use this instead of the coil deck that comes with it. And then obviously on the extreme end, you have the Titan.
Yep, the jar of the can of soup, as they call it.
The Titan, as you can see on my video, 4 battery mod, dual series.
Bear with us, I'll show you.
4 battery, dual series mesh. Fantastic flavor, but you also plow through the e-liquid. Yeah. Yeah. You want to hold it up to the camera again, now that I got us full screen? And that is the size of, a big lemon. Big difference. Oh, sorry. I had you muted.
There you go, sorry.
Say that again?
That's a little ether. That's like a 22mm diameter tank, that. So when you put that next to this guy, you can see the difference, like. That's big, and that's on top of the Hammer of God V3. That's for advanced users, I must warn you.
Oh, yes. I got my Titan kit with the mod that came with it, so it's 4 battery mod.
I've got that, yeah. I've got the
PWM, pulse width
PWM,
modulation, so it just basically adjusts your voltage and uses the width of the pulse to adjust it.
I've got the older one. I've got the first one. I didn't get the second one. Then the only other one I bought after that mod-wise was the Hadron, where you've got the tank I can put on the back as well. I got that one. I'm a big fan of Steam Crave stuff. Like, I think it's just quality stuff. It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and this will never go bad.
Nah.
No.
Never.
And if you, like I said, if you break the glass and you do construction, you could literally order just these. And there was a guy that used to be on the Aussie Vape Show, Dave. He actually did a review on this where he bought the extension kit and had himself a 42 mil capacity Steam Crave setup. Because he just stacked these all on top of each other. Each of these is like 20 mil.
But there's always somebody that takes it to the extreme, isn't there?
So if you want to know why they have juice flow control on these tanks so that you could turn off the juice flow control, that's why. In a single configuration like this, you don't need to shut the juice off. But when you start stacking these things up here and put 40, 50 mils of juice in this tank,
yeah,
that's a lot of gravity pushing down.
Exactly.
That you want to control the juice flow.
I'll tell you what it is like. When you do go big, make sure you fill it with a flavour you like, because it
will be there for a while.
But then again, it does drink a bit of juice that as well if you go mad with it. So you'll go through juice like there's no tomorrow.
You can. And that's the thing. That's why they said, you have the Aromamizer Plus in this size, and then you have the Supreme in a smaller size. So if you want a smaller tank with smaller capacity, you put smaller coils in, and you could actually do a mouth to lung on this one. The Supreme is where you want to head towards.
I mean, with the With the Steam Crave tanks, you'll still find that you don't have to get the newest and newest to get flavour. Some of the old tanks are still giving off cracking flavour. I've got a box now because it's a little bit of a relic. I've got the original, very first Aromamizer sitting in a box upstairs, and sometimes I'll get it out and you're thinking, that's X amount of years old now and it's still got it. It could still sit there with.
It still works great.
Tanks. Yeah.
They made tanks in 2015, 2016 that are fantastic.
Yeah, still keep up with today's standards, even though they're not, the mesh airflows and all that stuff. They're just a bog standard hole, and they still give off fantastic flavour. It's unbelievable.
Part of that is also because back in the day they were using round wire for these tanks.
That's right, yeah.
You put a Clapton coil in there instead of round wire, and you've just doubled the flavor potential of that tank.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's awesome tanks. Really nice. I've always been a fan of Steam Crate. Big style.
And like I said, they're going to last forever.
The only thing that does me great when they do a V1, V2, V3, because some of the changes are very small, and for the sake of a small change, do you really want to get another one, or are you happy with your V2? There's that kind of dilemma. Same with that the Dead Rabbit, that Dead Rabbit one that they've done. The other, do you really want to? I
broke the wallet. I ordered it. I was sitting there beating myself up, going, "Why am I? I got the V1, I got the V2. There's not that much of a difference. What could possibly be different on the V3?" I think it's just trying to make another buck on the same basic thing.
It is, yeah. That's kind of me great with them. It's kind of milking a bit, But I mean, the Dead Rabbit. I mean, the name the Dead Rabbit. How many versions of the Dead Rabbit is there? There's hundreds.
Well, we've been spoiled in the vaping industry. They always come out with new stuff, new names, and everything. But you think about it, cars don't change their names.
No.
They sell the Taurus, and they sell a whole ton of them. So guess what? They make changes every year, making incremental changes, a little bit better here, a little bit more comfort there, a little more fuel efficient. And every year it gets better. I like the fact that the Steam Crave just comes out with the V1. And they go, okay, what was wrong with it? What did the feedback say? Can we fix that? If we can fix it, let's put all these fixes into a minor change.
Oh God!
To make the improvement.
When you can see there's bad flaws with it, then no problem, But when the changes are minor or they're mutant, you think, well, can I really tell the difference between that one and that one? You know what I mean?
In my experience, no. Yeah, you can tell minor changes, but is it going to change the overall satisfaction of a person that buys it? No. If I saw one in the clearance bin and it was a V2 and the new one just came out as a V3, would I buy the V3 and spend an extra $20 on it? Or would I save the $20 and buy the older version that's going to do about the same thing?
V2 all the way. I mean, that's another thing with the people that are coming into vaping. You don't have to buy the latest shiny. You don't have to buy the latest tank. You'll find that because the chop and change and the advance of technology so quick with tanks. You could have a tank a year ago that cost 80 English pounds. You could probably now get for 30 English pounds, and it's just as good. You know, it's cheaper. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy the latest, you know, shiny or whatever. Some of the older stuff, even the top of the range stuff, when you go to the nice cheap price, it's brilliant, and it lasts.
This thing was sold for $40 when it came out.
Yeah.
I picked it up on clearance for $15. There's nothing wrong with it.
There you go. Exactly.
Going even further back. There's the loop.
Yep.
Pick that up on clearance. God. The diesel. Times Vape.
My God,
that was the $68 tank when it first came out.
Yeah.
Picked up for $20.
That's right. It's so much easier just to wait for all the hype to die down, and then everything just goes cheap.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I mean, some stuff doesn't, like, but you know, the majority of it does. I mean, like I say, when they brought the G-Class V2 out, that is miles cheaper than the G-Class V1, and yet the G-Class V1 is still sitting at 200 quid, 200 English pounds now, and yet the G-Class V2, I think I paid about 130, 140 English pounds, so a newer mod with a newer chip is cheaper than the older one. Work that one out.
Lance Ward says the Dead Rabbit V3 is different to the other ones.
It is, okay.
Well, I'll find out when it gets here.
I've never had that pleasure.
Apathy the Miller says, I'm not an RTA guy, but Steam Crave makes some really good ones. Still prefer the fatalities, but they are good.
The fatalities are good. But see that I had a bad experience with the M25. The threads were absolutely awful on it. I might have just getting a bad one, but they were awful. The crossed. They were just too rough. And it literally seized.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it apart.
I had one tank that was like that it got so tight. I literally had to get the pliers out, put rubber bands, you know, in between the jaws and actually unscrew it that way. But
like I said, my QP25 was that tight. Actually, I put more grips, like clamping grips on it, and it still wouldn't loosen it, and it crushed it. It was still, it was that tight. It would locked solid, so it ended up in the bin, unfortunately. And that was like what, 80 English pounds when I bought it. So I was absolutely gutted with it. But you'll find though, like the Steam Crave, they were the guys who pretty much come up with your RTAs. They were the first ones to do it, apparently.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can interchange the decks. They have multiple decks for these things. So if you buy the Plus because you really like a big tank and cloud chucking and whatnot, you can change it. You can try the mesh tank for it, the insert. You can try the single coil, dual coil. They have parallel mesh available. I mean, they have the Velocity style deck. Yeah,
there was, like I say, I was just about to mention that in the early days you got the Velocity deck, and then you could take it off and have just a flat deck, and it was very modular, and it was just mint at the time. It was very clever.
Yeah, Lincoln Logs of Vaping.
Mm-hmm. But blinking heck, how the Velocity deck? God, everything was Velocity deck years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, it's like last episode. We sat there and played with this one. I was like totally amazed at how good this is and how much beefier this is than the newer stuff.
Yeah, man.
The screws and the posts on this thing are twice the size of the modern ones that you have out there because they were doing it based on round wire builds.
Yeah. They'll build the last as well. I mean, I think, the modern day ones with the grub screws now, they're just stripped too easy, or the Allen Key ones are just stripped too easy, the horrible, the cheap and chatty, you know what I mean, the vile. Older ones were built to last.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with round wire. Round wire is an easy way for any DIYer that you have yourself a great tank that you use all the time. You buy yourself an RTA or even a dripper. Just get some regular round wire. It's readily available anywhere. You can get Kanthal or stainless steel wire, even on Amazon. It's used for hobby and jewelry making and everything else.
Yep, I still use it to this day on the odd RTA, Still use it. Bit of Kanthal, lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Yep.
It's simple.
And you get your coiling rod out, and you literally just wrap the wire around the coil. And there's websites out there you can go on there to figure out how many wraps you literally need to achieve a certain resistance that you want to have.
Is it Steam Engine? I believe it's Steam Engine. Steam Engine. Brilliant site. Good, all your coil building stuff really good.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think whatever happened to all the coil builders you used to see on YouTube, they kind of fizzled out a bit now, haven't they? Used to be quite a few guys. Just all gone.
I agree with you, Lance. When you get the really high wattage, you lose the flavor in the steam crave. I don't know why.
Yeah, you do.
Part of that is those literally finding the matching coils to go for the tank. Like I said, when I pulled this Supreme out, the coils that I originally put in here were way too big for it. I was new, to the vaping thing. I've only been doing rebuilding for a little less than a year when I did this one. And it's like, I didn't realize how much of difference between 2.5 and 3 millimeters made when you put them inside of a tank like this.
It's nothing in it dimensionally, but you think what a difference it does when it comes to the resistance, obviously, and the heating and all. It's massive.
Yeah,
it's
and because that
white.
all occupies part of that chamber, it changes how much airflow you can get through there.
That's right, yeah. Well, that's like you said. That's with the Blotto, like I say, when if you put a 3 mil in, it kind of makes it more restricted.
Yeah.
And then if you put a 2.5 mil in, it's mint. Again, it's just restriction of the airflow in it. Oh my god. That's been well used.
Well, there's still a little piece of cotton in there. I didn't clean it out properly. I just basically ran underneath the sink and pulled the stuff out and put it away. But yeah, you definitely you put a smaller 2.5 millimeter coil in here, and this thing can produce amazing flavor. And the cloud of production from 2.5 millimeters is just way better than what you do with 3 millimeter coils.
Without a doubt.
Thanks for coming, Deb. Catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Flatwire NI80 for best flavor. I've heard that too. And I've noticed that too, that the nichrome, if you have nichrome Clapton on Kanthal wires, it's going to produce much better flavor than if it's all Kanthal.
Yeah. A lot of people do mix and match like the materials for that. I've noticed some people will actually put stainless steel in as well because of the ramp up.
Yeah.
It's quicker ramp up.
Yeah, use stainless steel for the core and then wrap it in nichrome.
Yeah, just so it ramps up. I mean, to be honest, I use stainless steel for all my RDAs, period, if I can. It's just whatever. Clapton, use Clapton Alien, as long as it's stainless steel for an RDA, just for that purpose, so it just ramps up so quick.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I played a little bit with, building my own coil wires and stuff, but it takes so long, and you have to be meticulous about, how it's wrapping on there. And if you go crooked, do you unwrap it or do you start a new section that you want to keep clean?
You've got to start, really. You can't, once you've made that commitment of wrapping it. I mean, I've done it myself with the drill and everything, and it is meticulous, and it's a bit of a chew on, but the rewards are good, though, if you get it right. I mean, do you get it wrong? But it can be very fiddly.
And some people just have that art, the ability to be able to just sit there and know exactly what tension and what angle to keep it at. And I've seen people literally put it onto a drill and they go full speed and it's as fast as it can turn.
Yeah. But they do little tricks and knacks as well. I've seen one where they're wrapping a coil, they've got like a button or something for the spacing, for a space clapping, and they put something in with the wire in and they just space it, and that wire just comes off and there's a perfect space, but they'll use like a button or a clothes peg or something and they just wrap it on and away it goes, you know what I mean? And it leaves it, it's just the intuition with the way they think when they do this stuff as well. It's absolutely so clever. You know what I mean? Now you've got one of them. Was it that machine that does them for you now? I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. Oh.
Yeah, I got it here. I can't think of the name off the top of my head as well. That's what I did on my one video. I showed, how simple it is to put it in there. But even then, you have to get the tension just right on there.
Yeah, I think a couple of the reviews I've seen on those senders, the tension is the main thing you've got to get, because that guy who was doing his was making them way too slack, and they were just awesome. Was it Naughty?
Deodalis.
That's it. That's the one. You know what it is? Why am I not surprised that Alex has got one?
Fantastic.
Why?
And it was only like $50 when I bought it. Another one of those clearance things. And here's my 6 arbiter.
I've never used one, but do they produce good coils? Can you get good coils off it? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like the drill thing. You have to set it up right. Once you get it set up right, you can literally just ramp that speed up and just let it crank through it, and you'll get a nice, good section of wire you can make for coils.
Does it twist? Does it twist as well still, or is it keep it pretty flat? It still twists a bit, yeah. That's right.
That's one advantage with a drill, because if you use a drill and then you have the fish hooks on the other end, you can put the tension on that to minimize that twist.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But it's inevitable to get the twist on it, and then it's just a matter of taking your pliers and straightening it out.
Flattening it out, yeah.
Flattening it out.
Well, you kind of reverse it, flatten it, forward it, flatten it, reverse it. It is tedious, but like I say, if you're good at it, you're good at it, and you get rewards for it. It's like everything. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm mesmerised by, watching people do it and just make it look so effortless. And yet when you try it yourself, you tension, you'll snap the wire, or it'll gun out, or you...
Ian Thomas says, coil builders aren't born, they learn. The satisfaction when you vape your own coil is worth the wire wasted while you learn, and making a coil strip is great zen time. I completely
totally
agree with you.
Yeah.
However,
totally
some people have an aptitude for those type of things.
Definitely.
Some people don't. It's like mechanics, you get some people that are mechanics, but they have very little aptitude for it. So if it isn't, a textbook problem, they don't know how to diagnose it and come up with where the problem could even be.
That's like I say, it's just mechanically minded, and obviously the other side of it. I've always been hands-on. I like to take things apart and see how they work, but if you got committed to it and you practiced it every week at least. Oh God, yeah. You could get really good at it too. Yeah, definitely. It's like it, but I think with the coil building thing, it's obviously there's a time issue as well, because it does take time to do them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's I think you see everybody wants everything done for them in this day and age. Ready-made coils, ready-made this, ready-made that. People just want to vape and go, don't they?
Yeah.
Hence your disposables. People just want something to pick up and vape. Which I think it takes a bit of the fun out of it as well. I like building. It's great.
Apathy Miller said it took him like 3 months and 150 tries before he could make an alien coil.
Yeah, kudos to you, sir. As long as you got there.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
It's all on what you dedicate your time to, and it's just like vape channels and stuff out there. You focus on the home guy that goes out and buys one and then reviews it, and like you said, you don't see yourself as actual vape reviewer. And when I look at my channel, mine's more focused on advocacy than it is on, reviewing products out there. Yeah. I want to enable people, and I want to enable smokers to be able to look at vaping and go, well, I can do that. Give everybody all the options out there, put the information out there, teach people as much as you can teach them, and learn from each other's mistakes.
Yeah. Do you think, as a vape reviewer, if a company sent you products and said, I want you to review them, in the past, I've not named no names, but I've had a couple of companies, not big, approach me to do juice reviews and all that. I say, okay, I'll have a look at it, and then they'll send you the terms, right? And a lot of them want to see the pre-recorded before you make it public. And then there's another thing, no negative comments. So I'm thinking, as a reviewer, are they really telling the truth? Or are they just telling you what the company's telling them to do? You know what I mean? Yeah. When you see it that way. Because a lot of them, you think about it, you get a big company with their latest release and you absolutely hate it and slate it. They're not going to be very happy with you, are they?
Listen, if somebody sends me something to review and I hate it, I'm going to tell them that I hate it. And I'm going to tell them exactly why I hate it and how they could make it better so that I wouldn't hate it.
Oh, well, that's your point of your review. But, when you think of the big reviewers who are actually making a living off it.
Oh, yeah.
If they
we know some of them are getting paid for every single video they put out there. Exactly. And if they don't get paid, they don't put it out there. If they buy it themselves, they'll release it to their Patreons only, And then maybe after 6 months or a year, they'll release it to the public.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you're getting paid for it and stuff like that, you're not going to bring and give them a bad review, are you? Because if that's paying your wages, you've got to keep them sweet in a sense. You know what I mean? So it's a fine balancing act, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
You've got to keep your audience, happy with a reasonably honest review, but you've got to keep the company happy by not giving them bad reviews. So.
Well, yeah, but somebody like us, we aren't getting product.
Oh no.
No. Once in a blue moon, you'll get an email from some company, and you'll give them your address and stuff, and then nothing shows up.
Yeah.
But that's like, I was doing the news this weekend, took a look on their Vaporesso. It says right on the bottom corner, hey, click on here if you're, an influencer or you make YouTube reviews or whatever. They don't want to talk to you unless you got at least 10,000 subs.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
But saying that, I mean, I think Skin too. I used to do the bargain vapes. He used to do Vaporesso stuff, and he only had something about 800 subs.
Also depends on where you are and how many other people are out there making videos like this.
Definitely. But
and how many bridges have these companies burned along the way?
Well, this is it. You know what I mean? But again, I honestly think the YouTube reviewer, I think their days are numbered on YouTube now. Like Garden Vape, I think all of them are I think it'll be banned. I'd say you'll not see any vape reviewers on here in the next 5 years, if not less.
It depends on which way this thing goes.
The way they're going with it. But in its current state, you don't know. There could be a 180.
If there isn't a course correction, I agree with you.
Yeah. But I think there will be. They've got to come to public pressure, man. They've got to. And then,
That's why I push the advocacy to get more of us out there that are enjoying this and got the satisfaction of realizing, hey, I didn't have to be a smoker the rest of my life.
Yeah. But the voters, people's feet will make them change their mind as well. You know what I mean? We, like I said, in the UK, they went down that political route. And it frightened the life out of the politicians, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, you know what I mean? Obviously, we're just a tiny little island, you know what I mean? Our population is not great, but, it worked for us. I mean, but obviously with the bigger countries like yourselves, it's more of a difficult challenge, because you've got to get the numbers behind you to do it.
Yeah. I don't understand why people that watch reviews don't at least bother to click the like or the subscribe button. I mean... For us, especially when we're starting to grow and stuff, we're funding all of this ourselves. Every little thing on there. And it isn't just, going out and buying the products to review. It's buying the cameras, it's buying the lighting, it's buying the microphone, and then upgrading this, and then having the subscription for all this stuff. Like when I put music on, I got to pay for that.
Pay for it. Yeah.
That all costs money.
A lot of people don't really. I mean, like I say, I started using my phone. That was my camera before.
Yeah.
Now, I've upgraded. I'm on a Sony a7 III now. You know what I mean? They're not cheap.
No.
You know what I mean? So people don't realise there's the stuff that you buy behind the scenes as well to produce the videos. You know what I mean? It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap stuff. I mean, even a semi-professional light, you're looking 150, 200 English pounds.
Yeah.
And that's just a cheapy one, not a good, just a cheap one, not a professional one. So it's
it all adds up, and it
hard.
takes time to build this up, and the commitment to stick with it.
And that's the point. I mean, just like I say, I've been going a few years now, and there's many times when I'm not in it for numbers, but it can be disappointing when you think, you've done all this and all that and you're not getting out in return for it, It can be a bit soul destroying, and I think that's what a lot of people do when they first start. They go for the numbers game and they get all these people in, and it just doesn't work like that at all. I mean, some of your big reviewers, it took them 5-10 years to get where they are now, you know what I mean, with all the subscription bases. So it's not something that's going to be overnight. And it's not something that's going to guarantee you what people call free shit as well. It's not about that. I mean, for me, it never has been. It's just something where when I started watching YouTube videos, and I thought, well, I can do that. I could do that. I wouldn't mind having to go at it, and I did. And I mean, it does take a little bit to get yourself used to being behind the camera and all that kind of stuff. You know, you look at yourself and you think, my God, I look hideous on there, but never mind. But you know, it's a learning game just like everything else, and you know, and it takes time to get there. So I mean,
yeah. Plus, learning the software. You've got the software that we use to record it, and like what we're using now to go live, and then you've got the editing software to edit all your videos, and then you've got different plugins to use to create sound effects, and then plugins for video effects, and then.
Well, I mean, you know yourself. I mean, I use DaVinci Resolve. You use DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
That's 300 quid straight away. Bang, just for that. You use the free version, but. Which is good,
but you're limited. You're limited in the free version on what transitions you can use and what how many of the features. I mean, it's a great thing to learn on. Anybody can download it for free and play with it.
It's the same with all the Adobe stuff. You're forever paying out on them. That's why
I refuse to pay.
Big reasons. That's one of the big reasons I was over the moon with DaVinci, because it was a one-off payment, standalone. You've got updates for life. End of. Adobe, monthly this, monthly that, and honestly, I mean, don't get us wrong, it is a good editing software. You know, the leaders.
I used the free version until this was offered.
Yeah,
you buy this, you get license.
Yeah,
this costs the same price as the license.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
Yeah, and it saves 30% of my time editing, because I sit there and literally roll the wheel, hit cut, roll the wheel, hit cut, roll the wheel, hit cut. And I go back with the mouse, delete, 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 delete.
Yep.
Stuck together. Now let's put the transitions on.
It's mint. Plus all the colour, I mean the colour grade and everything as well is just out of this world, man. You know the stuff you can do now, that's unbelievable.
That was one thing I didn't get into. I follow Joe Gilder's audio advice with video. Get it right at the source. Get the lighting right. Get the camera settings exactly right. And I'm not messing with the color. Unless I want to tweak it to give some special effect, I'm not messing with the color.
I mean, I think, well, I shoot log, so that's why I color grade. I just find it much better shooting log. And that's why I grade. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't, you know. But the things you can now do with your grading, where you can manipulate and do whatever, you know, you can have movie, you can actually have film print effect, you know, it's just phenomenal, you know, it's crazy. And and like I say, I don't just use it for vape, and you know, I do go out with my camera, you know, and do other stuff, and it gets used for that, and that's when I play about with it, and it's just never ending, man. It's fantastic, and I love it. I really do love it. You know what I mean?
Apathy Miller says, what I don't like is when reviewers start getting big because of us watching them, then they abandon us YouTube viewers, and the reviewers only reward their Patreon members.
Yeah,
I totally get that.
That's like what I was saying. Like the guys who are making a living from it, who are getting paid for it and all that stuff. That's the way they go. And that's why some. I mean, I don't know if I've done a video or a rant or something. So I used to be well known for doing rants now and then. I don't know if you ever know, but and I did one about obviously the paid reviews, and everybody's saying we don't get paid, and I was saying, well, I beg to differ. You do, in goods, not cash. Goods. That's still a payment. You know what I mean? You are getting them goods in return for you doing a review. It's classed as a payment.
Yeah, technically, if you go letter of the law, it is.
Yeah.
But when you look at and realize how much we have to spend to get to the point where we can even get somebody interested in sending us something, we're in the hole, 8-10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we get to the point where we have multiple companies sending us stuff, you're at least in the hole 8 or 10 grand.
I couldn't even.
And that's just using bare minimum stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how much I've spent on this in the last 5-6 years, however, been going. Even the devices alone will be thousands. Never mind all the stuff that the camera stuff and the video stuff. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But like I said, for me, it's not numbers. I mean, don't get us wrong, it's nice if you get the numbers, but it's not all out for numbers. You know what I mean? I'm just happy doing what I'm doing and sharing what I share. So it's as simple as that. I'm happy with that until I'll probably still keep doing it until obviously YouTube decide otherwise, and then we'll wait and see from then. You know what I mean? I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if I lost my channel, you know. I mean, but I'd be disappointed.
I'd be disappointed only because, you know, it would limit my ability to teach people about this.
Yeah.
Would I go and continue doing YouTube on some other topic? Sure. But I don't think I would enjoy it as much as this. All it takes is one comment from somebody to say, I quit smoking because of you. Or because of you, I was able to stay with vaping.
Yeah.
That makes it worth more than any monetary amount anybody can give you.
Like I say, I think a lot of it is for the hobbyist, not for the guy who's quitting. But, you know, it's even if it just, you know, helps somebody move to the next stage, you know what I mean, where they've gone from a starter kit and they want to go to, you know, a direct lung or whatever, or they want to know how to build. It's the next progression, you know. And you know, I'm more than happy to do stuff like that for people like that. You know what I mean? It's a hobby, it's a community, and why not? I mean,
yeah, something I saw on Grim Green's last TBN was the fact that it said some people out there, and I know I was guilty of this when I first looked into vaping. I watched for a good 6 months before I finally got to the point where it was like, you know what? We're going to commit to this.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably was the same, yeah, definitely. You know, you just kind of sit back and watch what's going on, don't you, before you, like, make a decision type of thing, or, like you say, commit. I mean, like I say, I was vaping, I'd say about a year or two before I actually even started watching reviewers. You know what I mean? That's like I say, when I quit vaping, I didn't even thought of looking at YouTube. It didn't even cross my mind. It was just either passing the shop or see somebody down the street. Whoa, what's that he's got? You know, it was just stuff like, it was just like word of mouth of anything that got you into it.
That's like what got me into it. I was at the club the one night, and one of my friends come in, and he had himself a box mod that, you know, was a custom built, you know, literally a mod in the truest sense of the term. You know, he pulled the cover off and you saw the soldering joints in there and everything from the wire. And it was a custom PWM that he did, and that got me interested in it, going, well, let me Google this and find out what's going on about this. And then I'm like,
that's
you hear this, you see this, it's like, and then I came across, you know, Nick and Steve, and it's just like, wait a minute. Then I started going to Coffee with Legion Vapes, and it's like, there's a whole community of people out here supporting each other.
I think really what got me into watching reviews is, obviously I'm from like an engineering background. I'm a turner by trade, so I could make half of this stuff myself with my eyes shut, you know, if I'm given the right machinery. And you know, and I used to see like Joe Blogs doing a review, and you say, oh, the finish on this is terrible, and I'm thinking, do you know what goes in to get that finish made? You've got no idea, have you? You know what I mean? I was thinking the engineering thing, you know, especially when it comes like where they've cut out decks with milling machines and all that. So you can't get a perfect finish on a milling machine. You know, it's impossible. It's the way it cuts. You know, it's you can't get as good a finish on a milling machine as you can on a lathe. You know, because a lathe it's higher speed. It's all about speed. You know what I mean? You can't do it on the mill. And like, oh well, and you're thinking, you just don't know what goes into that. Some of the machine on some of these devices is absolutely phenomenal. You know, it's out of this world, and people don't realise what goes into it, you know, to produce that. I think that's what got us into it, you know, like that side of it. You know, I was thinking, you don't know what you're talking about, you know what I mean, on that side of things. But
just looking at the Steam Crave products, I mean, you take a look at it and see how exacting the threads are on those to get the perfect tolerance when you tighten that thing down, to know that, you know, it's the O-ring that actually gives you that final resistance, not the threads.
No.
And breaking that is literally as much as breaking the O-ring. Worst case scenario, if that binds up, you get and you crank that open, all you did was break the O-ring. It's not the threads that hold it in place.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, the threading, you know, you've got your tolerances on the threading, and you know, like, you know, that churning out hundreds and hundreds, and so you're going to get the odd mistake, you know, you're going to get where the cutting tool or the cutting tip will wear, you know, eventually wears the threads, get out of tolerance. And sometimes on an automated line, you know, by the time you've found the mistake, it's probably produced about 20, 30, 40, you know what I mean? And you're thinking, you know, so some will get through the net without a doubt, you know. But yeah, that's kind of what got us into it, like the machine inside, because obviously with it being a machinist, I was interested in it, and then obviously I just progressed from that kind of thing, and just plodded on doing what I'm doing, and then here I am to this day, still going.
Well, that's why I invited you to come on, because I wanted to keep you going. I know it's hard to keep spending the money on these new things, to doing the reviews and whatnot, but that's one thing I love about these live streams is, when I go and do the news, it takes a whole day to do the research on it, and then you got to write the script for it, and then it takes that 2 hours to get the script completely done.
Yeah.
And then you got to go in and do the editing. That's a whole nother day of editing, cutting out the skip stuff, adding all the images, adding the transitions, all the other stuff. It's a 3-day process to put out a 1 hour, program. And the longer it is, the less people want to watch it.
That's the thing as well. It's keeping people's attention in it. It's that kind of thing. But I mean, I think the way we've got, like, obviously Vape Public in the UK. He's probably our biggest reviewer, and he does like a roundup type of thing now and then as well, like news and all that stuff. And it was, as though it was interesting, it wasn't as detailed as yourself, and that's what kind of made me discover you in a sense. I don't even know how I found you. I was just seeing a video advocacy when I just click on it, and it was the amount of, I'd say, more detail you put into them. You're not just doing the news in America. You're doing it China. You're doing it Asia. You're doing it India. You're doing it bringing Bognor Regis and bringing Wales. You're worldwide, and it's the amount of detail that you put into them. Because you're finding stuff that I've never seen anybody else find. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kudos. That's what I'm saying. I say it every time, or a comedy episode. I don't know how the hell you do this or how you find the time to do it, but and that's what attracted us to watch it. And I do watch it from beginning to end, because it is interesting stuff if you're into that kind of thing, and I am, but I think out of all, even the some of the top reviewers, I mean, even Grim Green, I'll be honest, I don't really watch a lot of Grim Green stuff, to be honest with you. I don't, but with ye, I kind of do. You know what I mean? It's, I think you've gone into more detail, and you put more time in, and you put more effort in. You haven't just gone off a headline, or you haven't just gone off a Google page or something. You've actually sat and researched the article, and backed up pretty much what you're saying, and that's the big attraction for me, without a doubt. You know what I mean? And
I got to verify that isn't just some weird source that somebody just wrote up real quick or whatever.
Yeah,
I dig and I find the source, and then I ask myself the question, why did this come out now? Is there something else that I missed that brought this about? Mm-hmm. Where did it come from? It's kind of like when Matt Holman left the FDA and to go work for Marlboro. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Why would somebody that's so staunchly worked to regulate and cut these products down all of a sudden go work for them? It can't just be about the money.
Yeah, but like I say, you were one of the only guys who picked up on that. Nobody in the UK picked up on that. Nobody had the faintest idea in the UK. This is what I mean. These are the things that you're finding out that a lot of people aren't finding out, and that's what makes it more interesting. You see, it's amount of effort and research you put into it, which is it's absolutely take your hat off to you, but honestly, absolutely brilliant.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to go to the e-cigarette summit this year. That was Nancy Lucas from the Aotearoa Vapers Community Advocacy. She enabled me to go to the e-cigarette summit this year, and that's when I realized, I took a look at what he was saying through the summit this year, and I'm like, he looked like, somebody that was afraid to be there. And for somebody that had this government job, he shouldn't look like that. He's a firm public speaker. Stand behind what you have to say. And then I found, well, all the videos from this year were saved. So let me go back and look at last year and see what he did last year during COVID lockdown. Because, he's not in the office. Nobody's telling him what to say. He knows generally what he can and can't say. And then I watched the videos then, and I'm like, he was talking about mass approval of all these things, and flavors are going to be available. And then this year, all of it's gone. What the hell happened between last year and now?
Exactly, how the worm turns, eh?
Yep.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy world, man. Crazy world.
There's more to it than what we see. And it's hard to dig this into it because I'm not a real reporter. I mean, I try to be in the way that I do things, but I don't have access to all the resources and stuff like that. Everything's behind paywalls, and
I don't think anybody ever will they really? When you think about it, if you want to dig down to the nitty gritty, nope, you're not getting into that.
Yeah, that all takes money. If this was vaping, 10 years ago or whatever, like before, like when Jay Hayes got started, and if I would have got started when he did and got to be his level, I mean, that's one thing that burns my wire. I enjoyed his videos and whatnot, and his banter and his attitude of smashing stuff when it was garbage and whatnot. But I got pissed off when he left. I mean, I felt it was like what Heathen did when he bailed. Yeah. It's like, you sat there, you grew yourself into be a notoriety, made all this money over the course of the time from then till now. I know I'm never going to recover all the costs that I go to make these channels. And I understand. I'm fine with that. I would love to be able to get some of it covered, but I'm not going to stop until this is legal and available for everyone. And the reason, like you were saying, I cover things from all around the globe, but that's because science has no boundaries.
No.
The science that's true in here is true on the other side of the planet. It doesn't matter where you live. So if Public Health England puts this out and creates that and adopts that as part of their national policy, why isn't other countries doing it?
It's mind-boggling because, like I say, the scientific community are supposed to be all in one group as, for the better of the world and the planet, aren't they? Regardless. So why one country will sit up and take notice of another one, it's mind-boggling, honestly. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. But again, it comes down to the pound or the dollar, I mean, a lot of it's down to that, isn't it? They'll probably know. I mean, the FDA and everything will know that vaping is safer than smoking, but they'll have the pressure off the tobacco companies or the states that are on the MSA and all that. It's just a financial thing, and unfortunately that takes precedence against everything, and that's the world we're in. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? It's just a common sense.
Just like in the last episode of the news when I looked at the history of tobacco, it's always been the most profitable enterprise out of everything on the whole planet.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like the recent one was it the rape seed or limp seed or something? They're giving up food crops to do all this limp seed oil or rimp seed oil, whatever it is, because of the profit margins. It had nothing to do with anything else. It was just profit.
It's profit margin.
It's crazy.
$5,000 per acre when you sell it, compared to $200 per acre of corn or wheat or soybean.
Yeah. And yet, corn and wheat, soybeans actually keep you alive.
Yeah.
It's food.
It's food. You know what I mean? And it's only making $200. And corn, because of all the stuff with COVID and lockdowns and everything else, actually lost $200 last year. How many farmers lost $200 per acre and went bankrupt because of it? Making it easier for corporations to come in and buy the land and add it to their farming enterprises.
Well, this is it. This is the thing. Where there's somebody's downfall, there's always somebody's gain, isn't there? It's just the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Lance Ward asked, will you two be doing a live stream again? Of course. Matter of fact, I want to do a international vape show with multiple guests on and, change it up if I can. But I do want to keep talking about this because the more we have the conversations about it, like I know that Kenny is really in the depths right now with all the disposable problems going on in UK, and he's scared because he saw what happened when disposables took over the United States, and he doesn't want England to reverse course. Yeah. But having conversations and realizing that these are things that need to be widely available, and if kids pick up the habit, well, I'd rather them pick this up than a cigarette.
Definitely.
It's what it boils down to.
Definitely.
And we need more people to think that and understand why we say those things.
I think a lot of it, like, obviously, I mean, what we get from the outside looking into the US side of things is when they come out with all the various stories, the popcorn lung, the THC bloody pod systems and all that stuff, and and we're thinking they're actually really slating the reputation of vaping in whatever way they can. It was everything from that to you know, teenager has vape device blow up in his face and stuff. The bad press that was coming out about it at the time was absolutely phenomenal, honestly. It's a wonder it didn't get banned then and then. You know what I mean? It was really bad stuff that was coming out. And now you wonder why it is where it is, you know. It's madness. Absolute madness.
Apathy Miller says, something I saw is the privatization of the UK health industry. That's scary. Is that something I completely missed out on?
No, there's never want to do that, honestly. I think, was it when I think when they had Trump as your president, they were thinking they were going down that line, and there was an absolute outcry about it. They had something we wanted to do with the NHS, and everybody just went apeshit over it because they want it publicly owned all the time. I don't think they'll ever privatise that. I'd be very surprised. It would just, all hell would break loose, honestly. It's one of the It's one of the longest establishments on the planet, basically, with the UK. Same with the Royal College of Physicians. All that is long established stuff. You know what I mean? I can't see them changing anything with that. Like, I'd be very surprised. At least not in my lifetime, anyway.
I think healthcare should be a non-profit enterprise. I don't think people should profit off of death and disease and illness and injury. I think it's a human right that everybody on the planet should have access to.
Well, that's why we're technically publicly owned. It's government owned. We pay our taxes too. It's not free. You know, we pay our taxes.
There's always going to be a
cost
associated with it.
But it's not a thing like, I mean, we do have the option for private health care where you can pay for that, you know, but you know, that's obviously, you know, the richer people that can do that. But I think the basics, you know, of a national health service, it shouldn't just be in the UK, it should be worldwide. I really do think. And then, like you say, these big pharmaceutical companies, etc., will just not have the power that they have now, basically, because the governments will run them. And I think that's one of the big pros for us, is because we are publicly or government owned, that the government, you know, they don't want to be spending millions and millions of pounds a year on smoke-related deaths and illnesses. They don't, you know, that's wasted money in their eyes, which it is. You know, smoking is, you know, it kills you, you know, and it's just a wasted, you know, resources. When you know, if you stop smoking, you're going to reduce all these deaths related to it. So it's a win-win-win for the government and obviously the public purse. So they can't. So that's why they are pretty much pro-vape. Hence why we've got, you know, as a few hospitals now in the UK that actually got vape shops in the foyers now. Actually, you can buy a vape device in a hospital. Yeah,
Nottingham, I think, is one, and I can't remember the other one.
Birmingham, another one.
Birmingham, yeah.
But and that's going to spread across the country without a doubt. Eventually. Lance
Ward wants to know if you're going to the expo.
Me doesn't interest us. Not for the last time. It was all crap. It was all vapes and pods and disposables and everything and all that, apparently, so it doesn't interest us. I think a lot of the guys who go to the expo just mainly for a social event now rather than an actual, you know, fact-finding event with products. Because with the last one, I mean, I never went, but I was watching like some of the guys who were there, and honestly, it was dead. It was like a ghost town, apparently. But it's never really appealed to us. Too much of an expense.
Yeah.
Absolutely costs a fortune.
I would love to be able to go to just one expo where you actually got to see all the new stuff before it actually hits the general population.
I mean, there's that side of it. There's the curiosity side of it, but generally, after that, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not really a social person. I don't like anybody.
It's kind of depressing though, hearing about the expos now, because, you know, just like the sales of disposables have taken over what we see, that's also taken over the vape shows.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the companies are going to obviously showcase what's popular and make the money. And obviously, like I say, the last one, it was all disposables or e-liquid. You know, there apparently wasn't much in the sense of hardware as such. You know, so They kind of go with the flow, but to say they reckon there was a lot of vendors that didn't come to the last one, like, so I don't know what's going on with that one, like, but it just could be the current climate we're in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's one of the important aspects that we got to make sure that we fight for to not lose in vaping. And that is the community aspect of it, the social aspect of it, the interaction, because it's that interaction that you support each other when you have questions. You know, you first quit smoking, you pick this thing up and it's like, man, this thing is garbage. You know, why did I spend $100 on this kit? Is it leaking? Did I get a bad one, or are they all like this?
Yeah.
And you get to go and you talk to other people. And one of the things like smoke products I learned, and something that Nick actually covered in his last review of a smoke product, is when they put these things together in a factory, that coil is cranked down so hard into the build deck that that's actually causing the leaking problem, because it's so tight down here, it doesn't have enough threads to completely seal the top. So the first thing you do when you get a smoke product is you pull that coil out and you reseat it yourself to a point where you're comfortable knowing that O-ring sealed the bottom, but you still got enough threads to fully thread the top in to prevent leaking.
There's also them crushing the actual O-ring as well. If you crush it, it's not going to do its job. So you know, it's simple enough. Like I say, I mean, with like I say, there's a little tip there. With any of your vaping devices, if you tighten anything down, don't crank it. Just nip it. You don't need to crank. Even putting a device on a mod, you don't have to crank it down, because you will just not get it off. You just nip it.
There's no need to make it that tight.
No.
The O-rings do the job of sealing. You don't have to crank down on it to tighten it down. I had that big problem when I first got started, because just out of habit of doing things, you know, as a mechanic, you make sure you put some tension on it. You don't need to with this. The tolerances are so great, you don't need it.
Or I'm a heavy-handed bugger anyway, so I was just, not good. Yeah, just you just don't crank it on, and you know, it'll last well, without a doubt. You've got to treat it gently, as they say.
Apathy Miller wants to know what's the best recipe that I've made recently. That's kind of a hard one to answer.
Oh God.
The only one that I've had, you know, so far that's like an all-day vape-worthy recipe was been the one shots that I've mixed up. This icy pole. This would be something that I would recommend to anybody. Unless you hate something that's sweet, you're gonna love this. It's like the bomb pop. If you had a bomb pop, you know the ice cream, we have the red, white, and blue. This is like the white section of that ice cream, the sherbet kind of flavor to it. It's very good. But as far as, you know, individual, if I had to pick one of the recipes that's my favorite so far, that's Myogi's cappuccino cream. I mixed that as a full bottle and I'm still vaping on it. This one?
Just looking at the I was just looking at a comment there by Lance. I think, are you in the UK, Lance? I think you are. But he's saying says, I see the next whichever one will be Prime Minister in the UK both don't like vaping. Yeah, you've got a point with that one, but I think the Conservatives in general are pro. Do believe that Labour are against. So I still, even though the Tories are absolutely horrible, we don't like them, they're still pro vaping, without a doubt.
I'm jealous of the fact you guys have the all-party parliamentary group. That regardless of party, you know, these are the people that stand behind vaping as a public health benefit to society.
Again,
I don't know of a single politician in the United States that, you know, stands up for vaping. Not one.
Again, it's a budget for the NHS. It's that's what it boils down to. It's probably just a numbers game for them as well, you know, to balance the books. But that's the beauty of the taxpayer owning the NHS. You know, that's the beauty behind it. You know, it's just cost cutting at the end of the day. And they don't want that public purse spent on, you know, smoke-related deaths and illnesses. It's as simple as that. Anything that can save them money or alliterate, whether it be a public health concern, it could be more about them saving money, you know, as politicians work. And if they're going to keep going down that road, then I'm quite happy for them to do so, as long as they keep us, you know, let us vapers get on with our vaping. I'll be a happy bunny.
From personal first-hand experience, I will tell you, cancer is the most expensive disease out there. Mm-hmm. And the longer it goes on, the more expensive it is. It's the most expensive treatment for a disease in the world.
It is. It is, exactly.
And the easiest way to cut cancer rates is to get people to stop smoking.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Cancer Research UK stands behind the fact that, the cancer risk of vaping is less than 0.5% compared to smoking.
Exactly. I mean, but when you think about it, like back in the day, when smoking was a big thing, I think the Royal Commission actually like warned America at the time that there was harm, the harm that cigarettes done to you, and I think it took America around about 10 years to realise it, because I think obviously by then there was lots of lawsuits and everything gone in against them because they said, that there's no warnings to say that it harmed you, and I think we kind of told them a few years before, and it took them a while to get around. So that's why we're kind of like hoping the vaping was going to be the same. Like, we'll tell you, but take a couple of years for you to like shine to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they warned about the cigarettes very, very long time before they actually done something about it. So we just thought it was the same route they'd be going down with the vaping, but you don't know. Like I say, there's too much money involved.
Yeah, that's exactly what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's too much money.
Yep. And it's a matter of who has power right now. In this country, the pharmaceutical and the healthcare industry have so much power, it's unbelievable. They lobby Congress more than any other industry. And they make the money from it.
I think it is. It's the big wealthy companies, because they've got the money to throw at, Congress, except they've got the money to throw at all these people, and it's unfortunate that's the way it works. Like you say, big pharma, even big tobacco, they're still a very big, powerful institution worldwide, because they've got the money behind them. Yeah, they've got the money behind them.
A lot of the pharmaceutical companies are based in Germany.
To persuade people, and persuade people, with lots of money. Mm-hmm. Nudge, nudge. It's a case of money talks, like with most things. Public health really doesn't. I think the only time, like you say, the people jump when it comes to public health is like what we've just had, the pandemic of a disease. That's when everybody kind of clubs together. But otherwise, nothing happens really when you think about it. Nothing, unless it's affecting the planet.
Yeah.
Rather than the country, which is sad. How things have changed, man. How things have changed.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of the stuff that we've been dealing with and that we've gone through these past 2 years has changed a lot of us out there now and gotten us to broaden our perspective and open our eyes to things beyond what we're normally accustomed to.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, like I say, you've lockdowns, you've had time on your hands to do these things, you know what I mean? You've had to fill your time in somehow, and people have done, research and looked at things and stepped back and looked at how things are going on in their lives in the world and everything, and they've just took a bit of stock and thought, this is what we're going to do now. The hell with it.
Yeah. I definitely committed to this at the right time because all the stuff, at the time was so much cheaper than it is now. Before COVID, before, Trump imposed all these China import taxes and stuff, 30% tax on everything. Naturally, all the cost of everything's going to go up.
Definitely.
The manufacturers, aren't going to take the loss. The importer's not going to take a loss. The store's not going to take a loss. The customers are the ones that cough up the extra money.
That's right.
But I got started at the right time. A lot of this computer stuff I wouldn't have been able to buy if I would have waited another year to get into this.
No, God, not now. Not now. I mean, computer stuff and that alone. I mean, you've seen the carry on with all the microchips for motor vehicles and everything. They couldn't make them fast enough, and obviously they were charging what they wanted for them because they knew people needed them, from everything to your motor car to your computer. You know what I mean? It was just crazy, just because of this pandemic. But there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, but you never know, do you?
Even the craziest conspiracy theories are based on at least in some iota of truth.
Yeah.
And then you get...
What do you think of...
Ian Thomas says the World Health Organization awards India for banning vaping.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous.
They just want to a big reset. Them, they don't know what they're doing. Them, the WHO, absolutely no idea what they're doing.
History will not look favorably on this time.
No,
because of
not
that.
with these. I mean, vaping all aside, I mean, even when we had the outbreak of COVID, they were very, very slow to react to it. It was just wow. You were like, hold on a minute, and then next thing you know, it's worldwide, and they're sitting there. Well, they didn't even send anybody in to China to have a look to see what was going on. Nothing. They'd done absolutely nothing. They sat back on that fence and done naught until it was too late.
They had people there already. There are people already stationed in China. Monitoring, CDC monitoring this, monitoring that stuff.
Oh yeah, but I was gonna say they didn't act on it or nothing, did they? That's what I'm saying. They never done absolutely nothing. They just sat back and watched the whole lot thing and unfold. You know what I mean? Then
Government is slow to
obviously,
react to everything. Perfect example of this is back when the hurricane was coming for Louisiana. They knew it was coming weeks ahead of time, and after the hurricane came through, it still took the federal government a week to get water to the people in the affected area.
I can remember that. Yeah, I remember that. It was absolutely ridiculous. Was that the ones? Was it Mississippi or something that had a flood or something? Well, it took them ages.
That's what it was.
Ages to reach. They took them forever to send any aid in or anything. They just left them basically to fend for themselves, didn't they, for a while?
Meanwhile, the United States military can ship any group of its military anywhere in the world in a matter of hours.
Yeah, at any time.
And it takes a week to get water to people that were affected by a hurricane that they knew was coming for weeks.
That's mind-boggling, isn't it? Absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Honestly, priorities are totally wrong.
Well, thank you, Kenny. I appreciate you being on here. We've been going for quite some time now. We're on the 3-hour mark of this vlog.
Already? No way.
It's hard to believe. But yes, we've been going solid for 3 hours now.
Bloody hell.
So, since we obviously still have many things left to be talked about, I'll have you back next week if you're available.
Not a problem.
And we can continue the conversation and see what happens between now and then and kind of twist the wheels a little bit more.
3 hours? My God, where'd that go?
That's hard to believe, I know, but the clock doesn't lie.
It does, because like I say, when we used to do the shows ourselves, we used to say, right, we're going to stick with an hour. Okay, we'll stick with an hour. And then you see it, 2.5 hours down the line, you think, we're still going here, we need to, cut. But again, with good company, good people, it goes.
Dusty Country Road says, I think Saudi Arabia is leading the way in vaping. Right now, that is one of the largest growth sectors for the vaping industry on a global scale.
Saudi, yeah.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
It's amazing. And it's also has to do with, if you think about it, the fact that the government structure there is very limited compared to what it is in the rest of the world.
Oh,
once the Saudi prince and that group in government makes a determination, listen, this is a benefit, well, guess what? It's literally instituted on a nationwide scale, and free market enterprise will take over from there, without a doubt. Definitely. There's plenty of money to be made getting people to quit smoking.
Definitely. Totally agree. But yeah.
You're very welcome. Anytime you have any questions, Dusty, send me an email. djalex@hunkyvape.com. Always available to answer any questions you might have. Or leave a comment, and we'll bring it up on the next live stream.
Have a good one, Dusty. I think, won't have a good one. 3 hours, dear me. Awesome.
Had a fantastic time. Thank you very much, Kenny. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, bud. Not a problem. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Bring the music back. I had that turned down quite a bit there so that people could hear us. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you all coming. Thank you, Kenny.
Yep. At least you've ironed out all your bugs now, and we're getting there. So there we go.
Fortunately, I have, and I'm going to be able to do a little bit more fancy stuff. Because I got us right now just blocked in here, but it'd be nice when you're talking to be able to have a full screen image of you, and when I'm talking, vice versa and whatnot. But
No, you don't want a full one of me, really. I'll scare everybody away.
I don't think so. It's nice though because you're used to working within a certain image for your frame when you're videoing stuff, and then when you get cropped down to fit two people in that same space,
it's like, well,
your arms get lost in the shuffle. Just climb out.
Absolute pleasure, sir. Anytime. I loved it.
Thank you.
It's really good.
I appreciate all of you. I will catch up with you all again next week. We'll have another episode of the Global 20 this week. I'm working on a review for the Bogan's Blotto, the Max. Give that a try, and we're going to get a review video up for that shortly. But I appreciate all you guys coming out and sticking around for the nice long vlog today. And we'll be back again same time next week. Hope you all have a fantastic day. And my message is always peace, love, and a hunky vape to end cigarette combustion. Have a great day.
So you're the fire, you're the flare, you're the song inside my head, and I will taste every note. Feels so good when you're in my head. Was it all just a dream, just all in my